Everyone, appreciate you spending time with us here on The Loop. Stick around. Jake is next on Chicago Live.
Welcome to Chicago Live. I am your host, Jake Hamilton. It is a beautiful Friday in the city of Chicago. Don't believe me? Take a look at that. Beautiful out there along the lake. There's DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You see really beautiful shots, kind of a little curve around there. Listen, we've got a lot of amazing guests on the show today. Some that I think are going to make for some truly fascinating conversations. A little bit later in the hour, we're going to talk with a business because, get this, there are 30 businesses along Lincoln Avenue that say that they were caught off guard by a nearly 2-month street closure. The city is replacing a 137-year-old water main between Wrightwood and Diversey, but there are a lot of businesses that say they weren't told about this and given next to no time to prepare for it. We're going to talk with the Second Act Cancer Recovery Boutique, where the owner is saying that several patients have already had to cancel appointments because of access and because of parking problems. A major story that we are going to be following. Also, we're going to be checking in with the host of the Prosecutors podcast, Alice LaCour. She has joined us many times, friend of the show, the Lindsay Clancy trial. It is really all the talk right now. We're all waiting to see what's going to happen. A jury will decide whether Lindsay Clancy is guilty in the murder of her 3 children. We're going to be talking about what we know right now, where she thinks things are going, and really what the expectations are just in terms of timing. I know here in the newsroom, a lot of us were all trying to determine really just how long things were going to be taking, how long the jury was going to be deliberating. That is going to be a conversation that many of us are going to be having as long as this is continuing to go on. Also, I'm very excited about this. It's that time. It's football time. It's whether you're into the NFL, Fox 32, home of the Bears, or whether you're looking at college, whether you're looking at high school, football is back. And we're talking about number 6, Oswego, heading to Geneva, number 12, and a matchup that has a lot of meaning for the head coach Brian Cooney, a former Oswego High School player. He's been a part of the program for 23 years as both a player and a coach. We're going to be talking with him live about why he says the Oswego football, it's more than a job for him. It's a community that he is proud to represent and proud to get back to. Another guest I am incredibly excited about. And what's more, this one is going to be particularly special because he's going to be right there. It's not going to be Zoom. He is going to be live in studio with me. I am talking about artist Alex Ross. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Alex Ross, they call him the Norman Rockwell of comic book artists. If you take a look sort of at his work right here, I mean, this is his work. Beautiful, beautiful work he does of iconic figures in pop culture. A lot of superheroes, a lot of Marvel, a lot of DC. But you look at this work, this is more than just the classic whiz-bang pop of the comic little panels that you see. This is art. This is art that sells for thousands upon thousands of dollars. He's got a new book out called Marvel Dimensions that really showcases some of his beautiful work. He's going to be live in studio because what's more, and this is probably the best part, he's a local guy. He's out in the burbs creating this art that is showcased in studios and Comic-Cons all around the country, all around the world. And then a little bit later, this is such a fascinating conversation. We are going to be bringing in Sean O'Connell, who is the managing editor of CBR.com, to talk about a really interesting topic. You know, we've been talking a lot about the box office so far this year and the fact that box office is back. They're saying we are seeing box office numbers, theatrical numbers that we have not seen since the pandemic, and it's starting to make, you know, there was a period of time where where it felt like, are people just giving up on going to the movies? Does the newer generation not care about the movies anymore? That's not the case. That's not the conversation we are having anymore. We truly believe, based on the box office numbers right now, because of films like The Odyssey, because of films like Spider-Man, because of independent success films like Obsession and Backrooms, that box office is back. It's healthier than ever. But there is something that Hollywood is worried about, and it is that word that freaks them out a lot: piracy. These massive major blockbusters that are coming out within hours, oftentimes clean edits of these major blockbusters are available to rip illegally online. And while box office is good, you know what? It's looking like piracy is a major issue that is costing Hollywood millions and millions of dollars. How are they handling it? We are going to talk with the man who has the answer. Sean O'Connell is going to join us, managing editor of CBR.com. We just found out that he was available about 5 minutes before the show started. He let us know he had a couple of minutes to spare, and so I'm very excited to be able to chat with him. I didn't know we were going to have him on the show today, so this is very exciting. But this is also very exciting for a lot of people. Our first guest, this is a topic that is impacting a lot of people. The Gary Chicago International Airport has secured the final little over $8 million in federal funding for a new air traffic control tower. The grant, it's combined with a $10 million awarded that was awarded earlier this year, fully funds the project. Construction expected to begin a little bit later this year. It's going to employ over 100 skilled workers, and it's going to be completed hopefully by later next year. The new tower is going to be 50 feet taller, feature modern technology that's going to improve safety and efficiency. We are going to bring in the executive director of GCIA, Dan Vicari. Dan, thank you for taking the time. An exciting topic, so I'm really excited to talk with you about it.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So talk to me about this. I mentioned sort of what is about $8.3 million and what securing that means for the airport after sort of a long funding process.
Yeah, it all started with a siting study we had to complete with the FAA a few years back, and it resulted in a grant to complete the design of the tower, which was done. We bid the project out. It came in at about $18.3 million. The FAA came in May of this year with a $10 million grant, which was awesome. And just this week, we found out we got the additional 8.3 that fulfills the total cost of the construction of the project.
So what is it that this new tower is going to allow you guys to do? Because correct me if I'm wrong, the current tower, it dates back to the 70s. Is that right?
That's right.
So what is the new tower going to allow that older tower just couldn't handle?
Well, it's just part of the national transit system, having safety and efficiency in our air transportation system is key and very important to the federal government. And this is just one piece of that puzzle for improved safety and efficiency.
Now, I'm sort of curious, how important is this project to the airport's plans for future growth, for thinking bigger, and also increased airport operations?
Yeah, as we continue to grow, we're making a lot of investments, both public and private, at our airport. And as we continue to grow, what this does, in my mind, is it gives the flying community more confidence in our airport going forward for the next decades, if not 50 years or more. So the new tower being taller has better sight lines of our improved lengthened runway. We have a runway now that's second longest in the Chicagoland area at nearly 9,000 feet. And we are also going to be extending our secondary runway at the airport in a few years. And this new tower has already been sited and situated at a correct height where it'll have the viewing vantage point of the new extended runway as well.
You brought up a really interesting word that I kind of want to zero in on, the word confidence. Listen, when it comes to air travel, people want to feel confident. They want to feel confident about the quality of the airline, about the quality of the airplane, and the quality of the airport. So can you talk about how big of a deal giving people a reason to be confident is, especially this day and age?
Well, as we grow, we have plenty of room for growth at our airport, and making sure that we have all of the modern infrastructure in place so that when people do choose, whether it's an airline or a corporate business aviation, they have the confidence to know that we have a modern, safe, efficient airfield.
So what exactly, timeline-wise, what do you know, first shovel in the ground? And I know, listen, this is one of those projects that I really want to say, listen, when it's a freeway, we're like, let's go, let's get this done, let's move it. For something like this, I kind of just want to say, take your time, guys. Like, let's make sure this is done right. Let's make sure it's done well. So what's our time look like?
We're breaking ground next week, and we're having a groundbreaking ceremony later in September. But this is a 22-month construction project. So yeah, they do take their time. It's definitely not your ordinary construction. There's deep pier foundations involved with a tower that's 105 feet tall. So that is something that definitely is taking very seriously, and it's built into that 22-month timeline.
Let's talk about the economic impact that something like this has for Gary and really all of Northwest Indiana, because before this great achievement is going to start benefiting us, you guys are employing about 120 tradesmen, and there's a massive impact of the amount of work that something like this is going to provide.
Absolutely. Immediate impacts are those 120 skilled union jobs that are created for a construction project of this scale. And going forward, continued modernization of our airfield brings in more traffic, brings in more base tenants. So the economic impacts are going to be felt for years to come.
I'd imagine, we mentioned that the previous tower dates back to the 70s. Stands to reason. I know, there's just going to be newer technologies, and I'd imagine. Listen, I don't know all the technology that comes with a tower like this. I just hope that they work whenever I'm up in the air. But is the technology ever evolving? And I'd imagine that whenever this is ready to go next year, that it's going to be the newest technology, because God knows there could be technology that is updated in the time you guys are constructing this thing.
That's right. And that's something the FAA takes very seriously, and they will be outfitting the most modern advanced equipment in this tower. Part of the reason for the modernization, right, is part of the Chicago airport system here in Gary, Chicago International, that's taken very seriously.
You mentioned the modernization. I was literally writing that down as you were talking. I'd imagine it doesn't just stop at the tower. Are there other aspects, other areas that you're looking at and saying, listen, not to be greedy, but it'd be great to have a new one of these as well?
Well, we're working on the return of commercial passenger service at our airport, so that's the next big thing for us. We've also recently completed a new 55-acre cargo logistics center. We have UPS operating at our airport now with their air cargo, and we'll be looking to expand and bring in new air cargo traffic as well.
Dan, I'm going to tiptoe around something for a second. Let's say, hypothetically, there were a newfound reason for a large influx of people to make their way to Hammond, Indiana. Let's say it was a professional football team. Let's say we're not even gonna say what team it is. Let's say a professional football team found themselves in Hammond, Indiana. Is this something that you guys really need to potentially gear up and equip for, this potential influx of traffic heading your way?
It definitely will enhance it, but I'll tell you, we are ready for that team that wears blue and orange. In fact, this tower, ironically, had already been designed with their team colors. So people are going to think we did that on purpose. We didn't, but it's going to match pretty well.
Wait a second. You're telling me that without knowing if the Bears were going to be there, before this conversation even started, that you guys designed your air tower blue and orange?
We did, just coincidentally. It's not exactly their team colors, but it looks pretty close. Someone told me that recently, but I'll tell you that was designed and the colors were picked before the Bears coming to Hammond was ever an announcement. But it'll be pretty cool if it happens.
You know what, Dan? Listen, at the end of the day, making air travel safer for anybody is something that's always a good thing. And the fact that you guys are able to employ so many people and you're bringing an influx of economic activity to the area, there's nothing bad here, man. Listen, congratulations, best of luck over the coming months and with the groundbreaking as well. And we do appreciate your time. Please keep us updated and let us know how it's going.
I sure will. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dan. Good to see you, buddy. All right, guys, Chicago Live rolls on. We got a lot of amazing guests coming up in just a couple of minutes and really over the course of the entirety of the show. We've got some really amazing things. You don't want to miss it, but trust me, come on back. The show's only going to get better from there. We'll tell you more when we come back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. We've got a lot of amazing guests coming up, and over the course of the next 2 hours, 45 minutes, we're going to keep you entertained, keep you informed before Fox 32 News at 4 with Terrence Lee and Anita Blanton kicks off. We just had an amazing conversation with Dan, who was telling us all about the new tower that's going to be built at the airport in Gary. We've got some in-studio excitement over a guest coming up in a little over an hour. Chicago's own Alex Ross joining us to talk about his new book. One of the most acclaimed comic book artists, not just in the city, in the country, on the planet. And that's a true story. But this next guest is talking about something very important that is happening in our city right now. So more than 30 businesses along Lincoln Avenue say that they were caught off guard by a nearly 2-month street closure. The city is replacing a 137-year-old water main between Wrightwood and Diversey. Work is expected to go through mid-October, but there are a lot of businesses that are impacted by that. And just how much notice did they have that this was going to be happening? We're going to bring in Patty Sheehan, the owner of Second Act Cancer Recovery Boutique. First of all, Patty, thank you for taking the time to join us. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
When did you find out that Lincoln Avenue was going to be closed?
That Monday morning when I walked into work, I drove up to Lincoln and Diversey and saw the road closed sign, and that was the first we'd heard about it.
And I'd imagine that, you know, a lot of the business, we mentioned that there are several dozen businesses along this stretch. I'd imagine that they all had the same reaction. I imagine you talk with some of your business neighbors and find out, did anybody know that this was happening?
I did talk to them, and none of us knew. My first phone call was to the Lincoln Park Chamber. This was a Monday morning, and they said they'd heard about it late on Friday and hadn't notified any of us because they were still trying to get details. And then they suggested I talk to the ward, and I called Timmy Knutson's office, and they said they'd heard about it early afternoon on Friday and were still trying to get information on it, and that's why they hadn't told us about it. So nobody really knew what was going on or why it was happening, other than we had seen construction on Lincoln Avenue south of us for a while, but we had no idea the road was going to be complete, and it was completely closed. It wasn't local traffic only, it was closed.
And listen, you know, it stands to reason. It's obvious a road closure is going to affect the businesses, the homes, anybody that is along that stretch of road. So can you talk about the impact that this closure has had on your business? First of all, can you tell us a little bit about Second Act Cancer Recovery, what it is that you guys do, and then can you tell us about the impact that this closure has had on you?
Sure. So we work with post-breast surgery patients. So if you've had breast cancer and you've had your breast removed, you don't have to walk around with a sock in your bra. You come and see us, and we fit you with a prosthetic that replaces your breast. It's held in a specially made bra. So women we're working with can range anywhere from just recently having had surgery to 20 years ago. But it's women who are wearing a prosthetic to replace their breast. And I'm what they call a certified mastectomy fitter. I also am a certified lymphedema fitter for compression. So we're working with women who can often be in a very vulnerable state. And it's a very personal thing. It's not something people are public about. A lot of women are incapable at that time of being able to drive, so somebody has to bring them and drop them off and park and wait for them. For those women who are more long-term, who are 20 years out, sure, they can drive themselves just like they would to any doctor's appointment, but they still need to park. And we draw women from everywhere from the North Shore to the Indiana border to anywhere within the city. So a lot of them drive. And for some of them, it's using the PACE bus for people who are disabled. We have people in wheelchairs. We have people with walkers. And all of a sudden, they can't get to our front door without either having to walk half a block, and we know a half a city block can be a distance, or drive around for extended period of time looking for parking. It is our habit to call every client the day before and say, you're coming tomorrow, we confirm their appointment. So now we're saying, and oh, by the way, there's a problem with construction. You cannot park in front of the building. You can't even pull up in front of the building. And now you can't even get close to the building because there's construction all over the intersection of Lincoln and Diversey. And then lo and behold, last week, I saw a sign saying now People's Gas is going to block off parking on an area of Racine right around the corner from us. So it's kind of like, okay, the water department's not enough. Now the gas company's coming in and taking up parking as well. So it's been a real problem.
First of all, I do just want to say that the purpose of your business, I think, is fantastic. I think what you're doing to help people is really amazing. So thank you for that. I'd love to know when, obviously you now have to tell people, as you said, when they call, then you do the day before check-in. What kind of reaction are you getting from people? Like you said, there are some people that I'd imagine do need that kind of, front door access. They need to be dropped off right there. What sort of reaction are you getting from people when you tell them over the phone, hey, you might have to be dropped off quite a ways away to be able to get here?
Well, in the last couple weeks, we've had at least half a dozen cancel and say, let me know when it's over, which at this point looks like it could be late October. So for women who are hoping to be fitted for a prosthetic breast, they're walking around without anything until they can get in. There are others who have said, okay, fine, I will plan extra time, and they have, and they find time to drive around for a few blocks until they find a place to park. So it hasn't been great. It hasn't killed our business, but it's certainly inconvenient for women who just really can't afford that kind of inconvenience right now.
And you said it perfectly, and it's one of those situations where, I mean, listen, if something needs to be fixed, it does need to be fixed, and I'm sure you would probably agree with that. But what is the level of communication that you would have appreciated in advance to, I'm sure, let people know, hey, this is going to happen in a week. This is going to happen in 2 weeks. Plan accordingly. What would, if this had to happen in regards to the construction here, what would have been an ideal situation for you?
Well, certainly some advance warning, at least a week or so in advance, saying this is going to happen. But on an ongoing basis right now, we all know that they can't do construction on an entire city block, which Lincoln is a diagonal, so it's a really long block. They're not going to work on the whole block every day until October. So if they could say to us, this week we're working on the section near you, or for the next 2 weeks we're going to be south of you and it's okay to park across the street. Their answer has been, well, we just don't know and we just have to leave it available to our workers. But surely they have a plan. They know when they're going to be doing, what they're going to be doing, and where they're going to do it. And it would be nice if they would talk to us and say, next week, unfortunately, there's no access. Or next week, we're not going to affect you at all, and you can tell your people they can park. But we're getting nothing. We're getting total silence.
I read that this work was expected to go through mid-October. I always think of that. What's the expression? There are 2 seasons in Chicago: winter and construction. How confident are you in that mid-October wrap-up? And is there any fear that this could go on substantially longer?
I have no way of knowing because I don't know how complex the work is, but I can tell you that they're doing it because they're replacing lead pipes. And there are also lead pipes that go from the main pipe in the middle of the street where they're working to each of our buildings. And we have been told that they're also going to replace those pipes. And in order to replace those pipes, they have to shut down the water while that work is being done. And other than being told that that is coming someday soon, we don't know. We don't know when it's coming. We don't know when our water is going to be shut off. We don't know for how long. So there is more still to come, and we still don't know any more about what that means.
Like you said, more still to come, but then that also presents there's more that could be done to help not just your business, but all the businesses that are impacted. If by happenstance, someone from the city happens to be watching right now, listen, you're in the situation that they're in, and there's no changing that. But what is something that the city could do for you from this point on, could do for your fellow businesses on that stretch, that would just make, and you brought up a good point about, the letting you know when different areas are going to be operated on. Is there anything else that the city could be doing right now to help you kind of endure what is not just an inconvenience for you, but an inconvenience for people that very much are relying on your business?
Well, yeah, the main thing is, could you please talk to us at least maybe once a week? Either set up a standard email or come and knock on our door or something and tell us, this is the plan coming for next week. This is what we're going to do. This is what you should be prepared for. This is when people can safely park on the street. This is when they cannot. Or this is when they can at least drop people off. It's really just come back down to communication. Is it inconvenience for me and my workers? Yes, but that's not the real big issue. The real big issue is for our patients, and they need to know that they have access. And yes, I'd like somebody from the city to say, we do have a plan, and here's the plan, and we're willing to share it with you. And here's when you should expect to have inconveniences that you're going to have to work around. That would be great.
Patty, I want to end on a more helpful and a more positive note. And I want to do that by swinging back around and talking about the Second Act Cancer Recovery Boutique one more time. Because I really, hearing what it is that you do just is really meaningful and impactful for a lot of people. For people who are interested in learning more, for people for whom this is something that resonates with them on a deep, profound level, how can they get get in touch with you. Might be a little bit harder to get into your front door right now, but I'd imagine there are
Right
other
now.
ways that people can get in touch and learn a little bit more information.
We have a website, and it is secondactchicago.com, spelled out SECONDACchicago.com. They can do that. They can call us. I know people don't write down phone numbers, but 773-525-2228, which is 773 Second Act. That's what the numbers
Tell me
represent.
that number one more time.
773-525-2228.
3.
Or go to secondactchicago.com or drop me a note, and it's Patty, Pattie, at secondactchicago.com. I check my email regularly, and I am here every day along with the 3 other women who work with me. We respond to emails, so call us, email us, go to our website. If you are walking around after breast cancer, or you know someone who is, or you have breast cancer coming up, let us explain it to you. You don't have to come in and buy something. We're always happy to talk and provide information.
Patty, 2 things. One, I'm sorry for what you're having to deal with right now. It does sound incredibly frustrating, and if I were you, I would be frustrated as hell as well. But also, well done on what you're doing. I think that the mission of what you guys have going on out there is really important, and good on you. So thank you. Best of luck. Please keep us updated. You know where to find us if you want to come back on and just let us know what's going on. But please keep us updated. And if you ever want to come back on and just talk about the great stuff you're doing over at Second Act Cancer Recovery, we would love that as well.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Thank you, Patty. Talk to you soon. All right, guys, that's what I love about Chicago Live. We bring on just the absolute best guests anywhere in the city of Chicago. And guess what? We have more to come. Chicago Live rolls on right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. I'm really digging this shot today. So different days, we're going to bring up different cameras that we've got posted around the city, and I'm really liking that one. It's just a beautiful shot. I feel like it just screams Friday. You got a little bit of the beautiful trees along DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You got a little bit of the buildings in, what do we want to call that, Lakeview East. We got Streeter, we'll call it a loop. Got a little bit of the lake. You got some of the boats from the Chicago Yacht Club. If you're out there, become our friend. We need a friend with a boat. We've got a lot coming up here on Chicago Live. A lot of excitement. We just had someone in studio who learned in real time that Alex Ross is going to be in studio. If you're asking yourself who is Alex Ross, he is probably the premier comic book artist in the country, the world right now. His stuff sells for thousands at something like a Comic-Con or an art gallery. He is going to be right here live in studio. In just about an hour, he is going to be in that seat. It's not a Zoom. He's going to be here with us in person, and that makes a difference. We're going to be talking also, this is the story that a lot of people are talking about right now. We are, of course, talking about the Lindsay Clancy trial. Jurors in Plymouth, Massachusetts are now deciding whether former labor and delivery nurse Lindsay Clancy is criminally responsible for killing her 3 children in 2023. Now, both sides argue that Clancy killed the children, but her defense says that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis worsened by inadequate medical care. Prosecutors argue the killings were intentional and planned. A verdict will come after jurors weigh those competing claims. We are keeping a live look at what is going on. That's a live look outside the courtroom. You know, this is one of those moments where we don't know what's going to be happening. We don't know the timing of things. We are all sort of on standby. And here's what I can tell you is that if there are any updates that happened while we are live on the air, you will be the first to know because we will bring it to you as quickly as we know. We have other really amazing guests coming up on the show as well. Pop culture expert, managing editor of CBR.com, comic book resources. Sean O'Connell is talking with us not just about this pretty incredible year at the box office that we've had. We're talking pre-pandemic numbers that a lot of Hollywood had kind of given up on, but we are seeing our first $10 billion plus year since before the pandemic, something that no one thought was going to happen again. And it is happening because of massive blockbusters like The Odyssey and Spider-Man and Obsession and what have you. But with that great thing that's happening comes another issue, which is the word that Hollywood hates, which is piracy. All of these massive blockbusters that are now in theaters that are coming out and making billions of dollars almost hours after they're first in theaters, after their first showing around here, you can get a pretty clean version ripped on the internet because someone was in there with their phone recording it and then posting it on the internet. That's not good. Don't do that. That's a bad thing. But people are doing it, and it is costing Hollywood millions of dollars. So at a time where Hollywood is kind of making bank, you know what? It's also a time where they're losing bank because of the issue of piracy. So we have got a lot of amazing guests. Also, I'm very excited about this because football is back. My fantasy football team is blowing up my phone on a regular basis. But we're going to be talking with the Oswego head coach as they're gearing up to take on Geneva. It's a connection that he's not just a coach. He was once a player. He's been a part of this organization for as a player and a coach more than 2 decades now. We're going to be talking with him, gearing up about what the organization means to him, and more importantly, what this upcoming game means to him. But I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about the Lindsay Clancy trial. We're going to bring in, she's a friend of the show. She's spoken with us many times, and she's an expert on this. We're going to talk with Alice LaCour, who is the former federal prosecutor and the host of the Prosecutors Podcast. Alice, first of all, thank you for always joining with us. You're able to break this down in a way that the rest of us can't, so we do appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So can you just break down what exactly does the jury have to decide here, and how does the defense's sort of postpartum psychosis argument affect criminal responsibility?
Great question, because it's not completely straightforward. This is a murder trial, and there are 3 potential convictions that the jury can consider here. First-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter. So those are all guilty convictions. But the defense has also brought a not guilty by reason of mental defect, what we often know as the insanity defense here. And what the jury has to find in order to find not guilty by reason of insanity is that she had a mental defect, and the defense is arguing that it was psychosis, postpartum psychosis specifically, but not just that she had psychosis. They have to show that because of that psychosis, she could not appreciate the wrongfulness of what she was doing, nor could she conform her actions to the law. In other words, she had no control over what she was doing, or she didn't know what she was doing was wrong. And what that was, of course, killing her 3 children.
You know, Alice, I do not envy the men and women on that jury right now. I'd imagine that this has been a really difficult process for them to have to deal with. And I'd imagine that what they're going through right now, you know, in that room, talking to each other about this and breaking down these details, a lot of details that I'd imagine have been hidden from us. I know we haven't gotten everything on television. How difficult do you think it is for a jury to distinguish between someone experiencing a severe mental health crisis and someone who is legally responsible for their actions?
That is the million-dollar question here, because you're right. The term mental defect is not a diagnosis. It is not a medical term. It's a legal term. And so it's possible that someone can have a diagnosis, but under the law not qualify as having a mental defect, and vice versa. It's possible that there's someone who doesn't have an official diagnosis that under the law we view as having some diminished capacity that can qualify for this defense. So what these jurors are going to have to look at, they're going to have to look at all of the facts here, whether there was the type of planning and control and ability to think through the actions in a way that means she's criminally liable. And this is particularly difficult because what we've heard from the experts throughout this trial is that someone can be suffering from immense mental illnesses and struggles like depression, like psychosis, but still be able to appear normal, appear to do things that you and I can do. And so this is going to be a very heavy trial, jury deliberations for them to truly weigh, did she know what she was doing when she did them?
And that's an important aspect because, look, both sides agree that Lindsay Clancy killed her children. I know you have followed this trial very closely. What have you heard? What are some of the key facts or maybe legal questions that could determine whether or not she's found guilty?
A really big one is that the defense has said the psychosis, we know it happened because there was a voice. Lindsay claimed that on the day of the murders, not before and not after, she heard a man's voice that she did not recognize say to her, "Kill the children so you can kill yourself." What's been coming out in testimony, though, is doubt that there ever was a voice. A voice was never reported by Lindsay before the day of the murders, not until days after the murder, actually. And we heard from experts who said that it is highly unusual, if not nearly impossible, for someone to hear a voice just one time, and even more unusual for someone, even if they are in psychosis, to obey that voice for the very first time. And a great example that many people may know is the devastating case of Andrea Yates, a woman in Texas who killed 6 of her children in postpartum psychosis. She also heard a voice, but she heard it for months, and she resisted that voice for months before she ultimately gave in to them. So this is a very unique case and a bad fact for the defense, frankly, that this voice is a one-time phenomenon, never comes back, and not only tells her to kill her children, but then to kill herself. We know that she ultimately was not successful in ending her own life. So there's going to be questions about whether it was in fact the voice that was driving her to do this when she was successful in the first part of what the voice was saying, but not the second part. And then, of course, the jury will have to look at all her actions leading up to it. She had multiple phone calls with people right before the murders. In the middle of the murder, she spoke to her husband, seeming to be coherent and be able to articulate facts to him to make sure that he didn't suspect something was going wrong. And she had to do this in an incredibly compressed timeline. The voice had to have come on as her husband left the house, and she had approximately 18 minutes to commit 3 murders by strangulation. These are all very tight timelines that the jury's going to have to think, can she have done this if she were in psychosis, or was it pre-planned and she knew exactly what she was going to do ahead of time?
Alice, you have an insight into this that most people do not have. They're not experts in the matter. So having followed this for a while now, how would you rate the defense, and how would you grade or rate the prosecutor?
So I will say the prosecution from opening statements, which was 5 weeks ago, until yesterday during closing arguments, they did a bit of a 180. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that they needed to change with what the testimony was in order to be able to tell a narrative that made sense about why Lindsay Clancy was criminally liable. And what that 180 was at the beginning of trial, they said that she didn't really suffer from mental illness and that she didn't really try to commit suicide. But by the end, I think they told a really compelling story that embraced the fact that she was incredibly sick and she was very depressed at the time. However, she was criminally liable. Because they were willing to change how they told their story based on the facts that came out in 5 weeks of testimony, they ended stronger than they started. Now, the defense was very fiery all trial, and that is what the defense is supposed to do. The burden, of course, is on the prosecution to show criminal liability. But I will say the defense's closing was filled with emotion, and it was marshaling a lot of energy for postpartum kind of crisis, as they wanted to call it, in the United States. But I thought they could have been a little bit more focused on what the jury needed to find in order to find her not guilty by reason of mental defect, especially because it is not questioned and not disputed that she in fact was the one who killed 3 children. With that said, this is a highly emotional case. The jurors have sat there and watched Lindsay cry day after day, and that is difficult for anyone to see. They're going to have to weigh a lot of very heavy evidence and a lot of heavy emotional facts here. So we will see what happens, but everything is on the table. Not guilty, guilty, or hung jury. And I think that's why everyone is watching with bated breath.
Alice, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. Do you have a prediction which way that this is going to go?
You know, when this started, I actually thought it was more likely going to be a not guilty verdict. As the trial went on, I thought for sure we would have a hung jury because of how difficult these issues are. Now, though, I'm going to cautiously say, because the manslaughter instruction was given, that was not always the case. The parties had to argue for the manslaughter jury instruction, which is murder, but something lesser. Essentially, just have to have done something reckless to cause the deaths. Because that instruction is now for the jury to consider, I think there is a higher likelihood that we don't get a hung jury, that we will get a manslaughter conviction. But because the jury is still out, this is day 2 of them being out, I think with each passing day, it's a little bit less likely that we'll get a not guilty completely. But we always say the jury's a black box, so I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Do you have an expectation on timing? I know a lot of people interpret timing to mean different things. Oh, they only took this long, therefore it means this. They're taking a long time, therefore it means that. Any expectation on when we might see the end of this?
I I don't anticipate the jury will come back before the weekend. This court has not been taking very long jury days. They leave before 5 o'clock, which shortens the amount of time they can deliberate. But because we're talking about 5 weeks worth of testimony, expert testimony, thousands of pages of medical records, interviews, I think that this may take several days, if not a week or even longer, for deliberation. We always say, as the prosecution should get more nervous as the time goes on, but in this case, I don't think we will get any sort of a verdict before middle of next week.
It's such a fascinating topic, and I know that a lot of people have been watching it closely. It's just been heartbreaking to follow, but we do appreciate you always joining us on the show, particularly breaking down this case. And I'm sure as we learn more, we will reach back out and stay in touch and get your thoughts on how it all turns out. So, Alice, we do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, guys, much more to come here on Chicago Live. You don't want to go anywhere. I'm very excited about our next guest. We're talking with the managing editor of CBR.com. Sean O'Connell joins us in just a moment. You don't want to miss everything he has to say about pop culture and the effect of piracy. We'll tell you more when Chicago Live returns. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Take a live look at that. It may be the expression that we say every day on this show. Get a friend with a boat. I don't want a boat. I don't want to work on a boat. I don't want the responsibilities of a boat. I want to be able to buy a six-pack and bring it to my friend's boat and have a good day and then leave. So if you have one of those boats, we're looking at you right now. And call us because we want to hang out with you. Listen, we got a lot of amazing topics here, a wide range of topics on the show today on Chicago Live. I'm particularly excited about this one. I saw an article last week. And I was talking with Perry, our producer, and Jim, our executive producer, about, listen, and this is something we've been talking about for a while, which is how great the box office is doing. After years of people questioning, is the theatrical experience dead? Are people done going to the movies? 2026 has kind of given us our answer. We are looking at our first $10+ billion year since before the pandemic. This is our best post-pandemic year at the box office because of the success of movies like Spider-Man and The Odyssey and Obsession and Backrooms. But there is a word that is going around Hollywood that is freaking out a lot of people because it is having a massive impact in a negative way on the box office, and that word is piracy. Piracy is having a major issue on the box office this year. So we are going to bring in pop culture expert, managing editor of CBR.com, and full disclosure, if you're watching, a close personal friend of mine, Mr. Sean O'Connell. Sean, always good to see you, my friend. How are you, buddy?
I'm wonderful. I got dressed up for you, Jake.
You know, I noticed you put your new Spider-Man shirt on today, and that's how I know we're not playing around, that we're having a serious conversation.
Clean. Also clean.
And I appreciate you for it. Listen, you know, for both of us, this conversation of movies are back, box office is back, Gen Z's going to the movies again, the theatrical experience is reborn. It's been fantastic. And, you know, whenever I think of piracy, I think of the Seinfeld episode of George in the back with the video camera, you know, recording movies. It's not that way anymore. I mean, I know you're wearing a Spider-Man shirt. I feel like I saw a ripped copy of Spider-Man Brand New Day on the Friday that it opened in theaters, to the point they're not the shaky cam people walking in front anymore. These are clean rips of these movies. So how is this happening?
So I have to believe that it's leaks inside the studio. It's people who have access to digital files that are able to get this out there, because you're exactly right. I saw that copy of Spider-Man Brand New Day going across X, like on social media, and it's a massive 2.5 hour file that I opened and watched the first minute or two of it, and I was like, my gosh, this is a clean copy of what's in the theater. Well, I was just out of curiosity. I wanted to see what the quality of it was. But Jake, like you, after a minute, probably, I was like, this is not how I want to watch this. I'm not going to stare at my phone for 2.5 hours. So, I mean, I don't know how feasible it is that this is really cutting into, people who intended to go to the movie theater to see a film like Spider-Man anyway. I think those people are still going to the theaters to see it, and that these piracy copies are landing in the laps of people who probably were waiting for it to go to streaming anyway.
And that brings up a good point. Maybe for something like Spider-Man or for something like The Odyssey, it's not going to have that much of a difference, because it's one of those situations where if you really wanted to see it, you were probably going to go. I mean, our local 70 millimeter IMAX here outside Chicago is still sold out, as far as I know. Right. If you want to see those movies on a big screen, you're going to go. So does it stand to reason that it's maybe the mid-budget movies? Maybe it's something like Obsession or something like Backrooms. Maybe it's not the $200 million blockbusters. Maybe it's the $20 million movies that piracy is really hurting, because that might be the movie that someone is saying, well, I was going to go see it, but because there's a clean version floating around on Twitter, now I'm not.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I don't think that, something like The Odyssey can measure what impact piracy is having on it. And if you read this article in Variety, they do sort of couch the fact that studios can't really determine what the number is, for a loss. And they talk a lot about, like, there are major impacts on the industry, but they can't really quantify what it is. But I think if you talk to somebody, who has a mid-budget film, whether it be, the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, could that movie have made a few more $1 million in its overall box office tally? Probably, and that's important to the producers who ultimately are going to make some money off of the bottom line and what is reported. Or Olivia Wilde's film with Seth Rogen, that's another movie that has some buzz, people hear about it, and then if they were to find a clean copy of that, they might say, okay, this isn't on streaming anywhere, let me put this on. I think you're right. I think those are the films that are getting hit a little bit harder. One of the ways that I think the industry can almost combat that is to put more films out. Like, if you have the option, we have to get people back into the rhythm of going to the movies to see something. We're still post-pandemic, in this mindset of something's going to be on streaming really, really soon. I can just wait, where we used to have an urgency to get out to the theaters quicker, and we probably weren't even looking for something through a pirated copy, because we just knew Friday or Saturday we were going to be at the movie theater seeing whatever was new, and Hollywood isn't putting out enough movies to get us back into that rhythm.
And you bring up, that's such a good point, because when Barbenheimer was a thing a few years back, the release of Oppenheimer and Barbie on the same day, it was this huge thing because Hollywood couldn't wrap their brain around releasing 2 movies on the same day because it feels like they're so afraid of competition that there has to be just one movie every weekend that everybody. I mean, people forget E.T. and The Thing came out at the same time, the same weekend. You know, this used to be how we did things, and then people had choices, and then people went out. I mean, I know we're getting Avengers and Dune. We're getting Doomsday a little bit later this year, but that feels like the exception and not the rule. So you're saying we need to go back to the weekends where we had 3 or 4 movies coming out on a Friday.
Forget about just the weekend, Jake. Like, what are the big movies for August? Like, I think there's 1 or 2 movies to note in the entire month, and I can't quite figure out what the drought is on that. Ultimately, this is going to boil down to how do people want to consume their movies, though? And I think, you know, with these piracy issues, it always goes back to, like, what kind of quality do you want the film to be in? And if you're a casual moviegoer and you don't necessarily care if you're watching a bootleg copy, you know, that's on a camcorder, or if you're going to watch it on your phone because you're a teenager or something like that, I don't think you were ever of the mindset that you were going to go to the theaters anyway. So I think the pirated copies are essentially appealing to those people. But, you know, what I'm encouraged by is that most of the people who are coming up on movies and still in love with the movie theater experience are still pretty, you know, committed to the idea that they want to see something on the big screen, that they want to see something in a communal atmosphere, that they want to. That's why Obsession and Backrooms did as well as they did. I think it's because word of mouth said, go see this on the big screen, go see this with a crowd. The reaction is really fun. You're going to respond to different things with other people. I think that's why a lot of people were out seeing Spider-Man opening weekend. So if we had more opportunities like that to see big movies that people wanted to see with friends and family members and even total strangers, maybe this wouldn't be as big of an issue.
You know, obviously, you know, full disclosure for people here that are watching, you and I had a podcast called Real Blend for a very long time, and a large portion of the time we did that show was post-pandemic. And so we really had sort of a bird's eye view of the box office just doing that, going down, 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 down. And I remember you and I sort of having these conversations going, is this it? You know, is the movies going to be this thing that we tell our kids about that we used to do back in the day? So does this year, this massive swing back, you know, biggest numbers since the pandemic, our first $10 billion year in almost a decade, does it convince you that there are always going to be ebbs and flows, there's always going to be slow periods and high periods, but ultimately that the theatrical experience is here to stay?
Yeah, I never really stopped believing in it necessarily. I think that there are always going to be, probably driven by filmmakers, like exciting filmmakers who are making movies that people want to go see in a theater. And I think the industry for decades has survived, you know, any number of challenges to it. You know, for one, it was television and TVs going into people's homes. Then it was home video, you know, VHS tapes, then DVD, all these things that were going to eat into the market of the theatrical going experience. And there's always something else that comes back around that makes people excited about going to the movie theaters. Now, we lost multiplexes. You know, I don't know if the 22 and 24 screen multiplexes are going to survive. You know, maybe we go back down to 5 screens per place, and maybe there aren't as many places to go in your market. But I think the big screen experience is always going to exist for people who want to go see it. It's not going to become this sort of nostalgia play the way that some other live experiences have become over the years. No, I think this year in particular has been a pretty good indicator that when the movies are there, people do want to go to the theaters and experience them.
Well said. Listen, for someone who's watching right now, they're thinking, wow, that guy knows his stuff. That guy knows what he's talking about. Also, I love his shirt. What a great shirt he's wearing. You happen to be the author of a book that really, in a fascinating way, follows the trajectory. I mean, listen, biggest film of the year, biggest film of the decade, and there's a good shot. Potentially the biggest film of all time is going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. For people that don't know the story behind bringing Spider-Man to the big screen, it's top of mind in Hollywood right now, and you happen to be the guy who wrote the book about it. Literally, they say, oh, he wrote the book. Literally wrote the book about it.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Spider-Man fan. I've been sort of blown away by this franchise for the better part of 20 years, starting with Tobey Maguire, tracing all the way through Andrew Garfield and through the Tom Holland run currently, and even having all the background information I had for writing a book called Spider-Man with Great Power. I was totally surprised that the fourth Tom Holland film is becoming one of the biggest movies of all time, and it just goes to show how hungry people are for really good Spider-Man content. He's an enormous and beloved character. And so I wrote a book that traces his entire Hollywood history with a lot of fun stories for making of situations behind the scenes that I think fans, if you like these kinds of movies, if you like Spider-Man, if you like superhero films, you want to check it out. It's called With Great Power. Just search my name on Amazon.
It's a fantastic read, having read it myself. I can't tell you that Sean and I are part of a text thread with some of our friends, and a fun argument broke out this summer about which movie was going to have the bigger box office, Spider-Man or The Odyssey. And Sean, I think it's safe to say that you, yeah, I think it's safe to say you won that one. Sean O'Connell, managing editor, CBR.com. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for taking the time. I'll talk with you soon.
You're the best, Jakey. Love you.
Thank you, buddy. Love you too. All right, guys, Chicago Live rolls on. We're going from one of my favorite things to another favorite thing. We're going from movies and superheroes and comic books to football, baby. We're talking football. High school football is back. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about a game that means a lot to our next guest, and we'll explain why coming up when Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Learn more. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Look at that beautiful. Look at those people on that boat. They're having a great time. What are we doing? Why are we still at work? What are they doing? It's 2 o'clock on a Friday. What are they doing? Having a great time, making good life decisions, I hope. All right, guys, welcome back to Chicago Live. We've got a really great lineup of guests today. And, in advance, whenever we do this show, we kind of look at the rundown and we discuss some of the guests that are going to be on it. And listen, there are some guests that I get really excited about that we're talking to, and our next guest is just that, because Oswego, number 6, is heading to Geneva, number 12, in a matchup that has a lot of meaning for the Oswego head coach, Brian Cooney, for a lot of reasons. It's not just a game. It means something a little bit more. We're going to bring him on live. Coach, first of all, thank you for taking the time, sir. We do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
I'm going to tell you, just behind the scenes, our producer Perry in my ear, when we were getting you visually checked in during the break, she said he would definitely make us do sprints. Can you confirm that suspicion by our producer Perry?
Well, then my face might be resting in that area, but I believe it or not, I'm not a big sprint guy. I like to practice fast, practice hard, get your conditioning throughout the course of practice, and then we save 10 minutes and get to go home a little bit earlier. But same time, if it's needed, yeah, we'll put our foot behind the line.
Fair enough. Coach, first of all, talk to us about this matchup with Geneva and why this is a good test for your team.
Well, it's a good opportunity for us because it's a Friday night, and next opponent up. Try to feed our kids the mantra of one game at a time, and all you can focus on is your week of prep. But we try to be really selective with who we play in our non-conference games, and Geneva is top notch. I mean, they're every bit deserving of that ranking. They've got talent across the board, very, very, very well coached. The receiver quarterback play speaks for themselves, but I've always had a high amount of respect for this particular coaching staff at Geneva and how they've done it. So it'll be a great opportunity for both schools. Great facilities in that area. So this will be our first road game. Looking forward to it.
Coach, obviously, long before you were a coach at the school, you were a player. You were on that field, so you can relate to a lot of these players in a deeply meaningful way. I'd love to know, what are some of the lessons you learned as a player, memories that you have of your coach when you were a player that these years later have maybe found themselves coming back into play?
Yeah, Oswego's a great place to live, and we've got great kids, great staff, great community. So blessed and fortunate to be able to come back and coach at the same school that I played at. To get in this head coaching position in 2012, although I'd been on staff since 1998 here, fortunate enough to take over the head coaching job at 2012. Didn't really feel like the system was broke, just wanted to put a couple twists and adjustments on it. But when it's all said and done, we stick to the same template that my former head coach Carl Hoinkes instilled, and then after that, Coach Dave Keeley was the head coach, and then myself. One of those templates, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But like I said, a couple of adjustments that you want to make it your own. When it's all said and done, the core principles still hold true. Like, we really live by two things: no nonsense and work hard. Like, stay out of trouble and work hard, and the rest kind of just filters and takes care of itself. Not really working on necessarily rules, but expectations and what we expect out of our kids. This year is no different than any others. Kids have worked hard in the off season, the summer, so they deserve every second that they get on the field.
But, obviously, Coach, in a lot of ways, the game has remained the same. The fundamentals have remained the same. But, with every generation, the kids change. And the kids that are walking onto that field, I'd imagine in a lot of ways today are different than they were in 96 or 76 or however far you want to go back. So at all, do you have to adjust your technique? Do you have to adjust the playbook or just how you're going to coach or even how you're going to communicate by the fact that the way these kids are handling things is different today than it was, even 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. The football itself is cyclical. Like, tight ends were not a thing, and now they're a thing, and fullbacks kind of came and went, and now they're back, and it used to be run and gun, and now that's kind of slowed down, and things went from, condensed formations to spread out, now condensed back. So that game is cyclical. But one thing that has changed is, kind of the view on how we approach kids and social emotional needs. And we've always put our students first, but really having a focus and a lens on that has really shifted since 2012 when I took over.
Coach, not to be, overly dramatic or overly sentimental, but by nature of your own story, it stands to reason that the next Oswego coach could be on your field right now. Is that something that you ever think about? In the same way, I'm sure maybe you weren't thinking about it whenever you were a player, but you were still kind of soaking everything in like a sponge. Is there any part of you that thinks every lesson that you're throwing out there could potentially be taken in by the next head coach?
I have not thought of that, but now I will next time I meet up with the guys here. When I say we're due to report back at 3:35 today, when I see that and I see these guys, maybe I'll think of that. Is the next guy running around out there? If they see at times how stressed and turn into a lunatic I can on the field, I don't know if they're thinking that. And when I was a player, I didn't think that I'd be sitting here, didn't know if I'd be going into education or coaching or what. And life takes its twists and turns, and here I am, extremely fortunate and blessed to be in this program. But I will keep an eye on that. That's a great take.
And again, not to get overly sentimental, but I am of the belief that playing sports can oftentimes, listen, a majority of people that play high school sports are, that might be as far as they go, or maybe college is as far as they go. Very few of them are ever actually going to get into the NFL, but it doesn't mean that there's not value there, because there are life lessons to be learned on a football field that are applicable in all walks of life, that are applicable in, just becoming a better human and becoming a better adult. Whenever you're putting those lessons out there on the field, are they ever, whether it's on purpose or maybe by accident, kind of embedded with lessons and not how to just be a better player, but how to be a better person?
Yeah, we try to teach life through the game of football. Obviously, wins and losses matter to everyone. Wins keep the lights on and keep the coaching staff employed here. But, we try to, just through the same principles I was talking before, work hard and keep yourself out of trouble. Teach these kids the right way to do things. Use the game of football to teach all the things that it can embed in a young man. Hard work, perseverance, dedication, sacrifice, all of those same things. Likewise, we do take time from time to time, primarily in the summer or in August, to just pause in the middle of practice, and we take a 5-minute break, and we have a segment what's called Life Lessons, and each coach says something that they've learned along the way. And we've got 9 varsity coaches on staff. Each one had an opportunity to give about a 5-minute spiel, and if 1 minute of those total 45 minutes can stick with a kid, it's time well spent.
I love that. Coach, do me a favor, let's swing back around to the game tonight, where your head is at, and really where, I know you guys are number 6 right now, where you guys are. How far down the line are you looking this season?
I am probably the most boring head coach you're ever going to meet. I don't know who we play next week. I don't, and I'm, they're worthy of me knowing. I'm so focused on Friday night, and then when the game is done, we'll start, closing this one out and then moving forward. So since we got done with our game 1 last week, Friday night after the game, we started prepping for Geneva and everything that they have to throw at you, which is an awful lot. Panthers will have to be on point tonight for sure. So, as far as rankings, I'm not the flashiest coach, and I try to run this program the same way and keep the kids not too high, not too low. A year ago, we were not ranked. No one knew who we were based on the guys that we had, and the kids didn't care, and it just had a phenomenal run. This year, we do have a ranking. We do have some ink in the paper, but the template that, I think the kids are falling into and that I'm sharing as well, if we're going to live and die by, we care about us, let's go out and play good football, we need to take that same approach. And as much as we appreciate the attention and the high rankings, when it's all said and done, the rankings do not spot you any additional points.
Coach, how did last season end?
Last season, we were coming into out of the regular season, I should say, 7-2, hosting a first-round game, and we were able to just keep knocking down hurdles and play some really good teams. And kids played well and stayed healthy, and had some great game plans from the assistant coaches and stuff like that. We were able to make it to the state title game. Unfortunately, we fell short in that game, but only lost by some would say a narrow margin to a very good team. So came up 1 game short. I know the kids are itching to get back there. A lot of work to be done before that happens, and that starts tonight at 7 o'clock.
I love that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That was an amazing accomplishment on behalf of you guys. Before I let you go, I always love asking this question because I am a fan of pop culture and TV and movies. Do you have a favorite TV or movie that has used football as its subject?
we've had this conversation with a couple coaches and people. I think they're a bit over the top at times, like instead of just a good hit, a good form tackle, it's, the guy's flipping in the air 3 different times before he lands on his back, and there's excessive celebration. There's all this and that. But remember, the Titans that's tough to beat. That's high school football. It's good stuff. Then you get into like things like the program and all that. The college football gets a little bit over the top. But nothing better than Friday nights. Nothing better than high school football. I've been to college games. I've been to pro games. And boy, those are cool too. But something to be said about fresh grass, Friday night, playing with your buddies that you grew up with is special.
Well, to that point, have you had a chance to watch Friday Night Lights yet?
Bits and pieces, not too much. Not too much. Believe it or not, I like football documentaries, football like TV shows and things like that. It's just, again, like I'll look at it like that's not even acceptable. That's not even a thing. Like Billy Bob is not running that ball at the end of whatever movie that was. Yeah.
Fair enough. And listen, in your defense, you do football for a large portion of your day. I'm sure probably oftentimes the last thing you want to do is go home and then watch more football. So listen, hey man, best of luck with the game. Please keep us updated. We want to know what's going on. You guys are an amazing team. You did amazing things last year that you should be incredibly proud of, and I'm sure it's nothing but more coming up the rest of the season. So we do appreciate your time, Coach, and I'm going to tell Perry that you're not going to make her do any sprints.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Go Panthers.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you. All right, guys, coming up here on Chicago Live, we've got much more to come. We've got some amazing guests. I think Casey Cronus might be joining us to let us know what she's got coming up for the rest of the day. I know she's working on an amazing story. And we're just about halfway done with the show, but we're only going to get bigger and we're only going to get better. Lots more to come. You don't want to go anywhere. But for now, look at that beautiful shot out there of the lake. I love it. I keep going back to that one. We've got a lot of other shots that we could be taking, but that's the one that I want because I like it. Maybe we'll see it again coming up right here on Chicago Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Told you we were going to take it because it's a great shot. But I do promise we do have other amazing shots of our beautiful city, like that one right there. Love it. It's gorgeous. We're going to be having JD's going to join us in just, what do we want to call it? Just about half an hour to talk about these blue skies because, listen, you know, we love them. We'll take them. But I think anytime we have a beautiful day, we're always, especially after the summer that we have had, I think we all kind of collectively want to go, all right, well, how much longer is this going to last? Do we have anything that we need to be worried about coming our way? We'll find out when JD joins us at just about 2:40. I am your host, Jake Hamilton. We're about halfway through Chicago Live. Got about an hour and a half before Fox 32 News at 4 kicks off. But we've got some really great guests coming up within the next hour. I've been teasing this the whole show. Chicago artist Alex Ross, who has been called the Norman Rockwell of comic book artists, joins us live in studio. His work sells for thousands in places like Comic-Con or honestly just art galleries around the world. He's out in the burbs creating some of the most beautiful pieces of art that you've ever seen. He's got a new book out called Marvel Dimensions. I'm an owner of several of his books. I got one of his beautiful pieces, a gorgeous Batman hanging in my home right now. Hopefully my future son will enjoy that, maybe hanging over his crib. He's going to be in studio with us in just a moment. But we've got something equally exciting, something that you should be very excited about. Are you ready for a dramatic smash cut? Are you ready for this? 3, 2, 1. Look at that. Brett Bugansky live in studio. Did I set you up well?
That's quite the introduction.
I was very excited about that. I knew you were getting mic'd up and I knew you were getting ready to go. First of all, when we do these things, we often jump into what story you got. What are you working on? What time's your story going to be on at 4? Let me start with a human question. How are you?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah? You look good.
Thank you.
I'd tell you otherwise.
I ran 12 miles this morning. I got it done before work.
Nobody wants to hear that, Brett. Nobody wants to hear I ran 12 miles. No,
I'm feeling good.
What do you mean you ran 12 miles? Why were you being chased?
Sometimes on the lake.
Are you training for the marathon?
I am.
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you?
So this is number 13 for me. And
it's marathon 13?
Number 13, yeah.
You've run 12 marathons on purpose.
Yes.
Okay, so where are you at because correct me if I'm wrong, and I heard this from someone that was training one time, and I thought it was really interesting. You never train by doing the full, 26.2 miles. You never do the whole thing, is that right?
That's correct. I mean, some people will do a little bit longer than 22 or 23.
Sure.
I personally don't see any benefit in that because you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
It's all about building stress and building yourself up so you can do the 26.2.
Sure.
But doing the full 26.2, I don't see any benefit other than you're just going to burn yourself out at that time.
How are you feeling? Are you where you need to be right now, or how is it going?
I took a big jump these last couple of weeks.
Yeah. How do you define a big jump? What does that mean?
Just how you feel, how your breathing is, and how the runs, believe it or not, get a little easier as they get harder. Because when you first start training, depending on what your fitness level is, you could have 8 miles into your for the long run or 10 miles, and then sometimes it just takes it takes a little bit out of you. But after doing my first 20-mile run of the cycle this past Saturday, and then just doing a random 12 miles before work today, everything is just.
I just want to take a beautiful look. But to be fair, here's what I'll say: is that you've got a great chance to really run anywhere all over this city. So there are so many different places you can run. Do you have a favorite place that you like running to?
I do. What I like to do is run all the way past Lincoln Park, and I like to do with Lincoln Park is just kind of go around where where the zoo is and everything, and it's just nice to be able to go past Diversity Harbor where you see all the boats over there. This city is some of the best when it comes to just running and atmosphere.
Do you ever try to run the route you know you're going to run? Here's the best part of the show. They wanted me to ask you about your story, and I know that the story you're going to work on is very important, but now I'm deeply interested in this. So excuse me for just going on a wild tangent.
Sure.
But do you ever run the marathon route?
Absolutely. So I haven't done it in Chicago, but there are certain points that I say, it's nice to be able to kind of run on the course and see what you're dealing with. Since I've done Chicago twice already, and because you're running on busy streets and there's a bunch of cars there, a lot of the times you're not going to be able to run the marathon route, but in other cities I've run, one of the big warm-ups I like to do, especially if I've run the course before, if I know certain things on the course are a little challenging, let's say there's hills, or let's just say there's a time where there's going to be like a big straightaway, I will go to some of the most challenging parts of the course and practice on those areas, especially in a place like Cincinnati, where I came from. I did that marathon 3 times. It is the toughest marathon I've ever done in my life, and there's so many hills on that race, so I took it upon myself to train hills and go to the specific hills that are the most challenging, and that was exactly how I ended up training and getting better and building myself up for it.
Do you know if, and I'm truly just off on a tangent now, surely I'd hope we're going to do some sort of story that follows this. I mean, I would hope so. I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment. I know I'm giving you a hard time about it, but 13 marathons is an amazing, especially because, and this is one of my favorite trivia facts of all time. Where did the marathon distance come from?
Well, it came from ancient times, because there was a battle, and you went from one city to marathon, but at the time, history shows it was only like 24 or 25 miles. It's actually expanded over that time because the royal family wanted to be able to see the finish line from their perspective, so they extended the race. So that's where you get the distance. I'm kind of paraphrasing of everything, but that's the 26.2.
But isn't it true that like the first guy who did it got there and then dropped dead?
Yeah, I think it was a few days afterwards, but that's why it's sort of this lure of it's the perfect distance to test the human body and the capabilities and pushing yourself to the absolute limit. As history said, the first man who ran that distance ended up dying. However,
I don't feel bad. Could you imagine you do a thing and you're the first one to do it, and then you die, and for the rest of history, the world is like, we're going to show you all the people that can do it and not die. Like that, it feels like a little bit like the slap in the face.
Well, I think the technology running has gotten so much better, because he's not running with gym shoes that we have. He's not taking any kind of protein gels. He's not taking any kind of salt. He's not taking any kind of energy beans. All the technology and everything has gotten so much better for runners to be able to fuel themselves during the race. They have fuel belts. There's some people who wear the tri-shorts that have all of their, as I like to call it, the gimmicks during the race that keeps you going during this whole thing. He probably was very dehydrated as well, because I don't think some of the water was very sanitary at the time.
That's fair.
Where the best thing about Chicago is we have the best drinking water around, so we're getting some great stuff, and there's plenty of places to be able to go fill up your water bottle throughout the course, especially in the lakefront.
There it is.
It is. I ran by there today.
Did you? Of course you did.
I did. That was part of my 12-mile route that I did today. I just did from my place downtown. I went 6 out north, and then once you get to 6, you turn around and come back.
Here's what I'll tell you. I didn't run 12 miles today, but because of this new schedule I have, which I love, by the way, my girlfriend and I have she's always done this, but I've been able to do something that in my 20 years in television, I've never been able to do: morning workouts.
Isn't that the best?
I am energized. It sounds crazy, like working out in the morning and then because we have time to have a good breakfast. We work out in the morning. It's made my whole day.
It is.
It's an amazing thing. Here's the deal. You didn't come here to talk about your running habits. You came here to be able to tell us about the story that you're working on, which is perfect for this station of all stations, home of the Bears, right?
I mean, and a lot of times, this story that I have been working on is like a marathon, because
Good segue, man.
Like
well done.
There's not a beginning, a middle, to end to it. It's like, all right, are we getting to past the starting line of the whole thing? And there's just been so many different wrinkles to the story, and especially 2 weeks ago, we heard from Bears president Kevin Warren and Bears chairman George McCaskey about where the stadium is, and they said their sole focus is on Hammond, Indiana. However, they have said, even though they said, albeit the conversations were very, very brief with Illinois lawmakers, they're still talking to Illinois lawmakers. And they were coming at a time where they said, we got to make a decision. But then when reporters were asking, well, when are you going to make a decision? Well, you got to be patient. So there's a little bit of a conflict with what they said. And then when asked the question, they said something different. But they basically were saying, like, no, our stadium focus is Hammond. But then we heard there were meetings with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and some Illinois lawmakers, and we were able to confirm that with the governor's office, and
Governor J.B. Pritzker ended up talking about it yesterday during an event. So we have sound from him that you're going to see later right here on Fox Chicago. And then it was Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, who ended up speaking about this Wednesday night because there was an NFL owners meeting in Atlanta, and they were asking about this, and he confirmed that, yes, he has been speaking with Illinois lawmakers. They were asking him about the timetable of everything, and he said there's no timetable, which is something different than what the Bears had said. And then he also said, we just want to be able to give Illinois and Arlington Heights every opportunity so they can put their best plan forward. So this leaves open the possibility that the Chicago Bears could be staying in Illinois.
This is like the worst game of telephone ever. I feel like, here's what I'll tell you. We just had a guest on the show about an hour and a half ago, and it was a guy out of Gary who's with the airport over there, and they've got a new airport tower that is, he says it was just a coincidence and that they had the colors ready to go long before this conversation started. It's a new tower that's blue and orange.
It's funny how that works.
It's funny how that works.
But history sort of repeats itself. So another man I spoke to today, we all know him, Dane Placco.
Hey,
Dane Placco, the best. He's such the best. And speaking to him, he was in Park Ridge. He's got a garden, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. But
wait, you went to Dane Placco's house?
No, we were just going over some. He's a busy man.
Oh, he is. Dane Placco is a very busy man.
He's
shirtless in the bleachers at Wrigley most of the time.
I mean, he's a Cubs season ticket holder.
Of course he is.
Dane is such an interesting guy because he's been with us for so long, and he also covered the Bears stadium saga in the 1990s.
Wow, that's cool.
When they were also threatening to move to Gary, Indiana, and then there was this thing called Planet Park where it was going to be this 80,000 open air stadium, and where there was going to be an amusement park. It was going to be a bunch of different things, and then that ended up not happening. And then there was this thing about McDome where there was going to be a Bears stadium kind of by McCormick Place, and that ended up not happening. But similar to what happened 30 years ago, and now, there's always a couple of things that come up that are very, very constant. Who's going to pay for it? When are they going to make a final decision? And Dane was so funny. He said, because he was aware of the original story he did. And he's like, well, you really just changed the date and the city, and it's basically the same story. And so we're going to give a little preview of that. And I hope we could show what Dane did back in it was 96, 97 at the time.
Wait, do you guys have the old tape?
We do.
Come on.
We do.
That's fantastic. Brett Bugansky, big fan of you.
I'm a
big fan of you. And I got to be honest with you, I hate most people, but I like you. Congratulations on the marathon, man. I'm going to end up asking more questions about that. Again, I know that was not the topic of this segment, but I'm glad we were able to talk about it. And props to you, man. I'm going to continue to give you a hard time about it.
That's fine.
But it's a lot to be proud of. So well done, sir. And I'm excited about the story. Do you know when it's airing?
It should be 4, 5, and 9 o'clock tonight.
Beautiful.
And then I'll be on the Chicago Report, I believe, as well.
Okay, now you're just showing off. Chicago Live, Chicago Report. You got to pick one, man. You got to pick one.
They asked me to do these things.
I know, I get it. You're a man in demand. You put the man in demand.
The supply and demand.
There it is.
And it's Bears season. We can't get enough of the Chicago
Don't you
Bears.
think we need one of those? What if, follow me on this, like Fox sponsored a boat and we just did the show from a boat?
I would be a big fan of that.
You'd come on the show a lot more often if we did that.
Well, as long as Robert Dobeck, we don't crash his boat, I think Robert Dobeck would be okay with that. And then if we ended up crashing the boat, then we would have a treehouse boat, just like Dale and Brennan and Step Brothers.
Come on. All right, my friend, we're going to break. Good times had by all. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. That's one of the boats that Brett and I are going to try to get Fox to sponsor. We don't care which one, but we think it'd be really cool if we were just able to do the entire show from there. Do us a favor, write in, tell people that you'd like the show just a little bit more if it were live on a boat. Listen, it's 2:38, and we're more than halfway done with the show, but we have got our next guest coming up in just a couple of minutes. I am deeply, deeply excited about that for a lot of reasons, but the first and foremost is I'm a fan. And anytime you get to talk with someone you're a fan of, which I've gotten to do a large portion of my career, is always a really cool thing. His name is Alex Ross. He is personally my favorite artist on the planet. They call him the Norman Rockwell of superheroes, of comic books. He is a comic artist. He draws and illustrates and paints characters known in pop culture, most famously superheroes, whether it be the Marvel world or the DC world. If you can get a little look on that, you can see that these are not just the traditional sort of comic book panels that maybe you flipped through when you were a kid, or maybe that you even do now. These are, actual works of art. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. There's a reason that his work is featured, is sold in comic book conventions, Comic Cons, fan expos, not just around the country, but around the world. There's a reason that his work has sold for thousands upon thousands of dollars. And he has a new book. He has a collection of books, many of which I have. But he also has a new book called Marvel Dimensions that I'm very excited to talk with him about. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear all about it. And I'm very excited, not the least of which why, because we actually get to have him live in studio. He'll be right there. But for now, we are going to take a quick break. You don't want to go anywhere. Chicago Live rolls on. We will be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. I've been talking a lot about all those folks out there having a great time on the boat, but I got to be honest with you. Right now, I don't think anyone is having a better time than I am. I'm your host, Jake Hamilton, and I'm very excited about our next guest because he is someone who I have followed for a long time. I've spoken with before, someone whose work literally hangs in my home, and he's it means a lot to a lot of people. His name is Alex Ross. Alex, first of all, great to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm very good.
For people that are catching up and are learning about your work, they call you the Norman Rockwell of comic book art. I mean, listen, I've been telling people you've got this new book out that here, let's show this off really quick. Take a look at that. I mean, these are not your 2D traditional comic book panels, which there's nothing wrong with those. Those are fantastic as well. But this is art. This is something special. First of all, tell people a little bit about where you're from. You got a little bit of some local roots, but then also, your work is all around the world.
Well, I'm a child of Chicagoans, so we traveled all around the U.S. I mostly spent my youth in Texas, but I've been here for most of the last 40 years. And I wanted to do the same education my mother had in Chicago, which was a school called the American Academy of Art, and that launched me into a professional world of making comics.
I've seen your work from when you were a child, and it's pretty incredible to see this really fun, good for your age sketch of Superman, I believe, was one of them that I saw. But then when you see the work that it's evolved into, I mean, we can all day long say that that's a pretty amazing. But do you ever look at your progression as an artist, see your work that you're doing today, and go, yeah, I got pretty good?
Well, I'm not short on self-confidence, so,
All right, listen, I do want to talk about Marvel Dimensions. I believe September 1st is when it's going to be available for people. Listen, I have a bookshelf of your work in my home, and I'm not blowing smoke. I just happen to have it because I am a fan.
Thank you.
How is this maybe different from some of the other work that you've done before?
Well, it's a mixed bag of different styles. So I'm known for my painted comics art style, but it also has a traditional pen and ink flat color art style within it too.
Sure.
The book is meant to be a bit of a surprise between what you might be expecting, my retellings of the histories of these characters, and then it evolves into a whole other narrative that you wouldn't be expecting within the comic itself. In fact, there's a comic inside of the graphic novel.
I do want to sort of showcase, when you talk about your style, I want people to know what it is you're talking about, because sort of this representation, this style of, is not one that you get a lot. In fact, anytime you see it, it's probably yours if you're seeing this. Where did you get this idea for representing these types of characters? Because you do Marvel, DC, but also you've done Star Wars. You've done a lot of characters in pop culture. Where did this idea, this representation of the characters come from?
Well, it's just realism, and it's traditional American illustration in that sense. So there had been lots of painted covers before I got to work in comics, and there were painted comics before me, certainly. But I was learning about superheroes first by seeing men in costumes playing them. Like on the Electric Company, there was the first Spider-Man that was ever televised on that show, and that's what got me into comics to begin with. So why wouldn't I imagine these kind of characters in fully fleshed out color and light and shading? So this all, in my work, it leads up to where we are now, where we take it for granted we see actors playing these parts in movies.
Well, I kind of want to ask that because I am one of those obnoxious people that loves to remind everybody, I liked these things before you did. I liked it before it was cool. This has been a part of your life for a long time, but it's really just been within the last coming up on 20 years that these have been such a major part of our life because of the films. How has that changed your life at all?
Not at all.
Not at all, really?
I'm still just another person trying to sell this work in comics and keep afloat with getting to people as best I can.
Where do you start? I mean, whenever I look at sort of work like this, whenever I kind of, let's take a look at sort of this cover. Whenever I see this, I always think, where do you even begin? To me, this is equitable to, like, if you see a book that thick, like, what's word number one? Like, where do you begin on something like this?
Conceptually, I was playing around with a similar idea I'd done with DC characters. I had told the origins of a lot of the DC superheroes, the Justice League in particular, and the question had remained for me for the 25 years since I did that project, should I do the Marvel characters the same way? And I didn't feel the same charge until I had a sort of bolt of lightning hit me with the idea that, okay, I have this other idea that's orphaned. What if I take the two and mix them together like peanut butter and chocolate? So what you get within the book is one investigation of characters' origins, but eventually it blows up into something altogether different as a surprise, hopefully, for the reader.
I love that. Alex, I feel like you are the perfect representation of why arts in school are important. There stands to reason that there is another Alex Ross out there who, if given the right opportunities, if given the right tools, if given the right guidance, could turn around and create something like this. Can you talk about the value of the arts whenever you were a kid, and just maybe your perspective on the importance of a kid being able to be able to hold a pencil or what have you in their hand and create?
Absolutely. I think that there's a tactile connection we all need to have with making things by hand. And I don't have any underappreciation of computer tools. I've never learned how to use a computer, even with texting. I don't text. But as far as like...
Is that why you never write me back?
I guess so. If you're sending them to someone, I don't know who they're going to. But no, I think that having a direct connection, especially when you're building up your sense of the world, if you're able to get an education of looking at life, studying live models. I've used friends of mine as models for characters. It helps imbue a life into the work. So getting that study, getting that direct connection with translating the world we live in with your hands into physical artwork is something that grows your brain, I believe.
You said you use some of your friends for artwork. I want to show this off really quick. That's Thor right there. Did you... Sure, yeah.
Alex, you're a very good liar, my friend. You're a fantastic.
You could be an excellent Don Blake.
Okay, you know what? I'll take that. Listen, clearly, we look at this work and we can tell that that you know these characters very well. Inevitably, everyone has an Achilles heel in their work. Is there a character that, try your damnedest, you haven't been able to figure out how to nail that particular character?
That's a hard question to answer. In some ways, I'm always challenged with certain things. Like every time I illustrate Spider-Man, I'm trying to illustrate the idea that there's a face underneath this sock mask, and so I want to give you the impression of shadows that are highlighting the features that is coming through that impression.
Sure.
And when you see it often interpreted in the movies, they've got like a mask shell under the actor's mask,
right.
So it's not anything like a face, and I really want to get across the humanity of it. And so there's a challenge with things like that. I try and pull in the reality as best I can.
All right, well, I do want to swing back around. The book is going to be available, I believe, September 1st. Let people know, where can they find it? And I know because you're here, we get to take advantage of the fact that you're a local guy. Are there any spots around the city that you might be popping into to meet folks and maybe secretly sign a couple of copies?
Well, I'll drop into Chicago Comics now and again to sign every copy they order, and they've been very supportive of all the books I've done, so I'm often around there. So you might bump into me if you see me there.
Whenever you walk into a place like that, is it the old school, walk into a tavern and you hear everyone goes silent, or you walk in a room and the record scratches? Does everyone turn around and look at you whenever you walk in?
This is not that kind of a field. No. Once a year maybe you'll get somebody that'll stop you and have a conversation, but no, it's not that level of celebrity that I belong to.
Well, in this room, I can tell you it is, my friend. As I said, I've got a beautiful Batman that I think is going to hang maybe near my son's crib soon. Talk to me for people that want to maybe check out more of your work. I mean, C2E2, it's often there. I know, Comic-Con in San Diego, they represent your work very well. For people that are looking into saying, hey, this is, because there are a lot of people out there saying, hey, like my significant other wouldn't let me hang up a Spider-Man poster, but this is a little different. This is classy. Where can they find more information?
AlexRossArt.com.
Alex, we do appreciate you, sir. Thank you for taking the time. The book is Marvel Dimensions. Trust me, it is a beautiful piece of work, and you're going to want to check it out. We do appreciate you, my friend. All right, guys, there it is, a live look of the city. Not quite as beautiful as some of Alex's work, but it's pretty dang close. Don't go anywhere. Chicago Live rolls on. We will be right back.
to it here on Chicago Live. Let's see what's happening here for us on this wonderful, wonderful day. Weather-wise, we're not doing too bad at all compared to where things have been. Let's see if we can get some things fixed up and switched up here a little bit. I want to see if we can take a look outside right now, and let's look at those boats. We've been eyeballing those boats all day long. This has been a good-looking scene, to say the least, for us. With the sunshine out there, we're about to head into the weekend. Things are looking good for us overall today, but the weather's going to change a little bit more as we work our way into tomorrow and Sunday. I've been kind of eyebrows deep in the forecast over the past half hour to an hour to kind of smooth out some wrinkles coming our way for tomorrow, as it looks like we might get visited by a little bit of rain and thunder activity in some cases. Not everywhere, but that chance is there. So let's talk about the forecast kind of holds for us and just see how things are playing out. I'm going to get this all queued up where it should go. So here we are. Here's the satellite and radar picture right now. No big issues around us whatsoever. High pressure's kind of drifting over northern sections of Lake Michigan into the state of Michigan. But I'm watching that warm front back in the Dakotas. That's what'll march our way for tomorrow. Could give us a shot at some showers. Might even get some rumbles here and there. I'm not overly concerned currently. Here's kind of the look at things. Now, on the surface, you look at this and you go, oh, wait a second. What happened to my weekend here? It's not a full-fledged washout, but I do believe we'll have some spotty showers around tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Best chances north of I-80. I think our southernmost areas will be okay, and some of that activity could linger into early Sunday morning. The bigger difference might be the temperatures and the humidity. Upper 80s on Sunday, higher humidity. It's going to feel more like the 90s for sure as we close out the weekend. Let me quickly take you into Futurecast and show you how things look to play out. For tonight, no problems, no issues. But watch what happens overnight into tomorrow morning. Now, this model's being a little bit aggressive on things, but it's got the idea that we'll see some showers around tomorrow afternoon, perhaps into tomorrow evening as well. I don't believe we've got severe weather tomorrow. There shouldn't be big-time downpours tomorrow. I don't believe there's severe weather for tomorrow nor tomorrow night, but the chance for rain and some thunder may return early Sunday morning south of I-80, and maybe there is a stronger thunderstorm in there depending upon the exact timing. And here again, this computer forecast model wants to push things into Sunday evening for some shower chances. I'm not sure if I buy that timing, but it's something to keep eyes on as we head into the second half of this upcoming weekend. So again, the overall takeaway here isn't that this is going to be a washout of a weekend by any means at all. Just be prepared for some rain to spoil some plans on us. And I don't think we've got severe weather to worry about, but we'll keep an eye on the radar just in case. It will be warmer and a lot more humid as we head into Sunday, so don't overlook that aspect of things either. Temperatures right now, we're mainly in the low mid 80s in most cases. And then you factor in the dew points. Dew points are kind of hanging out in the upper 50s to right around 60. That's not bad. It's a little bit muggy, but it's certainly on the more comfortable side compared to what's coming our way as we work into the weekend. We got a lot more to come here on Chicago Live. We'll come back and we'll talk all about it. Jake returns in just moments. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Chicago Live. There are friends out there on the boat having a beautiful, gorgeous day, because it is a beautiful, gorgeous day in the city of Chicago. We have an hour left of the show. The first 2 hours have flown by. I've had a great time. So have you. My name is Jake Hamilton. I'm your host for at least one more hour left on the show. And then Fox 32 News at 4 o'clock kicks off with far more talented people than myself. We're, of course, talking about Terrence Lee and Anita Blanton. Our next guest is really, it's a fascinating conversation because for millions of people with ADHD, getting started can be harder sometimes than the task itself. Experts say procrastination and task paralysis aren't necessarily about laziness or motivation. They can be tied to anxiety, shame, frustration, and past failures. We're going to bring in ADHD expert Brendan Mahan, who calls this a wall of awful. First of all, Brendan, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And I said this in the break. You look fantastic, man.
Thank you. Trying to do it right.
You look great. Talk to me about what the wall of awful means exactly.
So every time we fail, we get a brick in our wall, right? And it's going to be a brick of some emotion that's coming up because of the failure or the struggle in the task that we're engaged with. The wall of awful, in essence, is those emotions piling up and then eventually getting in our way when it comes to the stuff that we typically struggle with. It doesn't have to be everything, but we all have something, even ADHD or not. Everybody's got a wall of awful for something that they find difficult. And it's this emotional barrier we have to deal with before we engage with the task. I would argue that procrastination is really just navigating the wall of awful before I start whatever's on the other side.
So, Brendan, how can a parent maybe tell the difference between a child who is maybe just simply refusing to do something and a child who is actually kind of stuck in this way?
I would assume they're stuck. That's where I would start. I wouldn't even try to figure out which of those two it is, because if a kid is refusing, it's probably because there's some emotions that are getting in the way of that task, or they don't know how to do that task. So if I hear their refusal and instead of receiving it as disrespect or my kid's obnoxious, if I receive it as, oh, my kid's struggling, they're having some strong emotions and expressing them in a way that I don't particularly like, but those emotions are valid, it makes sense that they're unclear on how to do this, or this is a task that is always difficult for them, or whatever the case may be. If I start by assuming it's emotions and it's the wall of awful, I'm going to be able to have more patience with my kid and help them initiate the task in a more gentle way for them and for me, so that we're not just always fighting about homework.
So then, to that point, do you think that we are often mistaking this paralysis for laziness or a lack of motivation?
Yeah, I do. I think that I don't like the word lazy, because lazy is an answer without a solution, right? If I go, oh, my kid's lazy, well, that's the answer. It doesn't solve the problem. It just gives me an answer, and I can stop thinking about it and stop trying to solve the problem, but the problem remains. So lazy doesn't work for me. There's something underneath it. There's something else going on. And that's the message I'm trying to deliver with my book, Overcoming the Wall of Awful, is there's other stuff. There's something else going on underneath, whether it's my employee or my kid. How do I figure out what's going on underneath? How do they help me figure out what's going on underneath so that we can move forward and solve the problem?
Taking it maybe a little bit deeper, what is happening emotionally when someone with ADHD has a history of unfinished tasks or missed deadlines?
Yeah, it's just guilt and shame and feeling like it's your fault and like you must have done something wrong. I'm 50 years old and I have ADHD myself. And I still have times when, if something takes a little longer than I expect it to take, I just had this happen with my agent about the book and some stuff some publications in Europe. And I'm like, I haven't heard anything back. Did I do something wrong? Did I miss something? Is there a T I didn't cross or an I didn't dot? And my agent was like, no, it just takes a while. Like, this isn't on you. But as we grow up with ADHD, we learn that those mistakes are probably our fault, because more often than not, we're the one making a mistake, but it doesn't mean everything falls on our shoulders. And we have to learn how to pick and choose between what's on us and what's the nature of life.
I've been asking a lot of questions kind of from the outside looking in, a parent's perspective or someone else's perspective. For someone who is dealing with what it is that we're talking about, what is maybe one thing that someone can do in the moment if they're staring down a task and they just can't find it within themselves to begin?
Yeah, I call that putting a door in the wall. And it's about finding the emotions that are going to work to help you motivate yourself. You might need to calm your anxiety and soothe that anxious feeling, and then find something to motivate yourself. But there's plenty you can do, if not literally in the moment, in a few moments, right? I might take a walk around the block, which is all of a 10-minute experience, and usually then I'm ready to go. I might also listen to a song or two that gets me motivated and makes me want to go and do stuff. Even like knocking out some push-ups helps me activate, or working with a friend or a buddy. There's all kinds of strategies that exist for activating in a relatively short period of time. The ADHD world knows a lot of them. We just have to do a better job of communicating them to everyone else, because we're not the only ones who have these challenges.
Really quick before we go, where do you stand on, growing up, I was always taught, hey, you got a bunch of things you got to do. You make a to-do list. You put them down on a list, and then you get satisfaction when you knock them off. How do you feel about that?
I love a to-do list. Yeah, to-do lists are great, but they're not the solution, right? They're not. The challenge with ADHD is we often get told things like, well, just make a to-do list and somehow that will solve everything. It doesn't, but it does make doing those things easier, because I don't have to remember what they are, because I can cross them off and sort of see the things I've crossed off and feel better about myself. And also because I can get everything out of my head and organize them better, right? I might have 10 different things I need to do that day. I write them all down, and I realize that 6 of them are errands, and 4 of those errands are in the same place. So cool, those 4 errands just kind of became one task, and I feel better about it. It feels more doable because it's all these things are all in the same place. I can knock them out more easily. And that only happens if I write it down.
Very true. Before we go, can you tell us a little bit about where we can find the book?
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. So it comes out September 1st. You can go to wallofawful.com to order it or pre-order it, and it'll be in Barnes & Noble and on Amazon and your local bookstore on September 1st, on Tuesday.
Fantastic. Hey, Brendan, this is a really valuable topic, and I appreciate an expert such as yourself joining the show to be able to talk about it. Really, truly, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, guys, much more to come on Chicago Live. We have under an hour left of the show, but what if I told you it's only going to get bigger? It's only going to get better, like our beautiful city right there. We got much more to come here on the show. You don't want to go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Beautiful day here in the city. We just had the chance to catch up with JD Rudd a couple of minutes ago to hear all about the weather that we got coming our way. A little bit of warmer temperatures, but right now it's actually pretty nice. We've got just about 50 minutes left of the show before Fox 32 News at 4 with Terrence Lee and Anita Blanton kicks off. If you thought the guests were good up to this point, we have got some amazing ones coming up. This is going to be truly fantastic. So a Chicago-based Black art and lifestyle collective is actually taking travelers on a pretty incredible trip this fall for an immersive look at African art, design, and culture. I am honored to bring in onto the show. We have Ogechi Harry joining us. First of all, thank you for joining us. How you doing today? I think you might be muted. Let's see if we can get you unmuted. What do we think? Check 1, 2, all those things. Give us a 1, 2. All right, guys, let's check in. All right, hold up. Let's go back to a beautiful shot of our city. Ogechi, hold tight really quick. Let's check in behind the scenes. Take a look at that shot. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, guys, we're going to try to get this figured out because this is a guest that you don't want to miss. We're going to figure out some technical things on our end. That is the magic of TV. We'll tell you more coming up. You don't want to go anywhere. Chicago Live rolls on. We will be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Beautiful things happening here in the city. technical things going on here behind the scenes. There's always some kind of fun madness going on Chicago Live, but we only do it because it's an amazing thing to do. Take a live look at our beautiful city. We've had some really amazing guests happening so far on the show, and we've got let's say about 45 minutes left. We've got nothing but great stuff coming up for you as we continue on here on Chicago Live. You don't want to miss it. Let's take you down for just a second. All right, guys, we got some amazing things coming up here on the show. You don't want to miss this. This first story is a Northwest Indiana volunteer firefighter is turning firefighter training into a game. We're going to bring in our friend Eric. Eric, first of all, before we get started, will you pronounce your last name for me, my friend?
It's Ivasico.
Eric, listen, this is such a great thing that you're doing. What inspired you to turn firefighter training into a game like this?
I've been in the fire service around 20 years, and we do train. I'm a volunteer, so we do our trainings once a week, but my full-time friends, they train every time they're on shift. And really what it is they call it muscle memory. We do the physical training all the time. So I noticed that on those days that are not so favorable living in the Midwest, that I wanted to create something that would be fun, engaging, include camaraderie, the brother and sisterhood of firefighting, make it fun, but let's work our brains a little. Let's make it more of a mental training than physical training. And that's what allowed me to come up with this.
And I'd imagine that so many people are so grateful for something like this. Can you just kind of walk me through a little bit of how it works?
Basically, it is a card game. You have cards, and there are 5 categories. Basic NFPA questions is one deck. Another deck is movie and TV trivia. Then we have like a charades where they got to act out one word, and there's a timer. We got a 90-second timer, and there's a deck that is to drawing, similar to Pictionary, and the last deck is a hard deck, which would be like officer questions, things that'll really work your brain a little bit if you know them. And then I threw in some special cards that have you do some special things. One of them is Sing Your Heart Out. If you draw that card, you got to sing a song of your choice for a minute, otherwise you lose points. First one to 500 wins. Each card's got its own point value system on it. And that's pretty much it.
You know, you shouldn't have told me that last one. I got to ask you, have you pulled the Sing Your Heart Out card yet?
I have not got to get to that one, so no, I have not had to sing.
It stands to reason that you are aware that there is a non-0% chance in your life that you're going to have to do that at some point. I'm not telling you got to do it on live TV right now, but surely you've decided what the song would be if you pulled that card.
Oh, yes. We're going to do a Taylor Swift song.
Well done. What have been some of the other songs that have been sung by some of the other guys?
Just some of your classic rock songs. Some pop music.
You can't go wrong with the classics. Listen, this is such a great idea for a game. And, you know, listen, I think there's a reason that it didn't exist up to this point is because I feel like it needed someone like you to come up with it, because I feel like there's this X factor that you're able to bring to it, being a firefighter, that someone who's never had that experience could never put into it. What is something that you feel that you were able to bring to this game that with all due respect to the game developers around the world that sit around a board table and come up with these, that they would just never be able to bring to it the way that you do?
What led me to to do this, and what brought it to mind was just that gap of mental training versus physical training. I wanted something fun to do, and I have the knowledge, and we have the standards that we follow, and I just pulled questions from that. I mean, it was time consuming, but it all works out in the end.
What was that moment like? I've always, when for authors, when they get to hold their book for the first time, or a director that gets to see their movie for the first time, when you got to actually see the game, when you got to see it sort of physically there, what was that moment like for you?
That was the best feeling ever. I never thought that. I've had ideas through the years of different things, and honestly, to finally see something that I've been thinking about for years and create it, and special thanks to Chicago Card and Game, they helped this become a reality. It's awesome to see. I mean, there it is right there.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's the prototype, but it will be up for production soon. It has its own Facebook page, Decision Under Fire. Go get on there, like, follow, share. I will be doing some pre-orders soon, so I got a goal to meet before I can make that first order.
What's the goal that we got to hit, and where can we send people to start ordering it? Because I bet that there are a lot of fire engines, a lot of firehouses around here that would love to have one.
Well, there's 98 in the city of Chicago alone, so let's hope that they're watching this.
I listen. You got 98 cells already. Have you been able to toss this around to any of the other fire engines around town and get any kind of feedback?
Oh, yes. I'm getting a lot of feedback on like I said, it's at Decision Under Fire on Facebook. It has its own page. Yes, I've been getting requests from all over the state and a few other states. So, yes, it is gaining momentum. I haven't quite set a price yet. I'm still working that out, but I'm looking at the minimum of 200 pre-orders. Then I can place the orders. So go on there as I progress and get a few other kinks worked out, then we will be ready to take pre-orders. I have been messaging people, letting them know that it's coming up.
And can we just talk about the importance of having moments like this, importance of the men and the women who do this job, being able to just have a moment where, in addition to the good that all of you do in the community and the lives that you're saving and the wellness that you're spreading around, the ability to just take a moment and just play a game. And it's sometimes playing a game, it sounds simple, but the value of that can be massive, I'd imagine, especially with what you were all dealing with on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We have times where we, especially on the full-time side, that, there's times where you need to wind down after a long, hard day. And it's done in various ways, television, reading a book, just sitting around talking. You talk through your problems, you talk through the calls, but this is a good way to let all that go, just put it all aside and just enjoy yourselves for a little bit of time.
Eric, a lot of times authors who say, yeah, I wrote my first book with no intention of writing a second, but immediately when the first book was over, I started coming up with an idea for that second book. Listen, I know we're still in the very early stages of this game, but are the wheels turning for a second game? Is there anything else that you think you might be putting into the world like this?
So with the categories I have, there are 6 dots on the dice. I can make expansion card decks for other categories that are related to firefighting. I can also go in and start looking up standards from other countries. If people want a deck of cards for this game, I can do other countries too. So yes, that's the future, but let's get this thing going right now.
Yeah, we gotta crawl before we can walk, but I do think that this is a really an amazing idea. One more time, let people know, I guarantee you there are people watching right now that either are someone that's interested in this, or they know someone that's interested in this, or you know what, it's a good idea. If you live in the community where there are firefighters down the road, it'd be a cool gift just to buy for someone and pop over and bring it to them and say, hey, happy Tuesday, thank you for what you do. It'd be a good gift just to drop over and surprise people with.
Oh, yeah. At Decision Under Fire on Facebook and Instagram. that's where you can get with me on the starting phases of this.
All right, Eric. Really, first of all, congratulations on this. It's an amazing. Can you hold it up one more time? I want to see it.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. All right, my friend. It looks fantastic. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time, and stay safe out there. And thank you for everything you do. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. All right, guys, the time is 3:25. Lots to come here on Chicago Live, but let's take one last look at our city, at least for now, before we go to break. Enjoy this for just a moment. We're going to run to break, and we will be right back.
Bennett, I'm going to do it on Jake's shift because Jake's my son-in-law. I'm going to go to Crown Point, and Todd Bennett's going to do some recording of actual playing the game. I open probably going to be 50 plus shipping and sales tax.
Welcome back to Chicago Live. We are going to dip in really quick. This is Lindsay Clancy's lawyer. They are done for the day, but he seems to be taking some questions. Let's listen.
Following his instructions, so I have to believe that they're going to be fine.
Kevin, the longer this goes, does that bode well for you?
I've had him out for an hour. I've had him out for a week. I don't know. I don't know.
Why do you think they wanted to see the knife?
I could say I'll go in the room and I'll ask them and I'll report back to you. I don't know. You know? I don't have access to the jury room. What's that?
What do you read into that request? The curb's coming, guys.
Curbs, guys. Curb. Don't even tell them. Let them fall off the curb.
You've been looking out for me all week. Come on, give me a break.
Watch out,
guys. So, what's your take of day 2 of the deliberation, Kevin?
Day 2 of what?
Deliberation.
They're working hard. It's been a 5-week trial, so you got to expect it. There's 290 pieces of evidence, or 293 something.
Mr. Reddington, would you have preferred that this jury be sequestered?
No, it takes them away from their family. They have lives too, you know. I mean, and I have no reason to believe that they don't listen to the judge and listen to his instructions.
Even with how big this case has turned out to become?
The press reporting is just so accurate that I don't worry about it.
Because the amount of evidence you expected this deliberation to take some time?
Where's the barrier?
It's like right there, I think. Okay. What the hell's going on?
Hell yeah! Make the 7 win trials great again. Tell the grip. Make the 7 win trials great again. Tell me good, buddy.
All right, you were listening to Lindsay Clancy's lawyer. They do seem to be done for the day. He was taking a couple of questions, was asked about whether or not he thought that the jury should be sequestered, but he did say, listen, they've got family, they've got lives, but that they should be able to, as long as they listen to the judge's instructions, that hopefully they will be following the rules, because there are very serious rules in regards to these sorts of situations. We're going to move on here on Chicago Live to our next guest. We're going to talk about a new French rotisserie chicken spot now open in Chicago's Bucktown neighborhood. We're going to bring in our friend Oliver onto the show. Oliver, can you hear us?
I can.
Oliver, do me a favor. Would you turn your camera on for us?
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out right now.
All right, we're getting that figured out. While Oliver is getting that figured out, we're going to take a quick look out at what's going on in the city right now, and we'll be with you in just a second. All right, guys, we are back. I think we're ready to go. I think we got it all figured out. We're about to find out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Look at that. Worth the wait. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing so well, so well. First of all, tell me each of your names. Introduce yourselves to us.
I'm Oliver. And I'm his brother, Nicola.
All right, guys. Listen, I got to be honest with you. You had me at rotisserie chicken. Like, I mean, honestly, as the kids say less. Tell us a little bit about the spot.
So we're a French rotisserie chicken place, specialized in obviously rotisserie chickens. Want to show it to them?
Oh, come on. There you go.
Sure. And, we have some fun, cool sides, some nice salads, very good bread from Mindy's Bakery down the street. And then my brother does some great wines, too.
Yeah, all just good, unpretentious French wine that goes good with chicken.
I love the description of unpretentious French wine. As someone who does not have a palate for wine, that's exactly the kind of wine I would be looking for.
You think it's an oxymoron, but it's not. Yeah.
This, I gotta say, this does feel like a different spot that maybe people around the city of Chicago, diners, people with an educated culinary taste, it does feel like something different. Where did you guys come up with this idea from?
So I think we came up from it. Honestly, we go to France every year, and we've been going since we were kids. Our dad was from France. And one of our favorite meals always from being in France was they have these little rotisserie chicken mobiles or whatever you would call it on the side of the road. And we would get a chicken, get some bread, get some salad, get a couple, sides, including like the French rotisserie potatoes. And we would take it to where we were and we would eat the chicken and it would be just like the best meal ever. And we thought that, there was nothing like that here, so we wanted to do it here.
I'd rather eat that than bistro food in France 9 out of 10 times. So we wanted to bring it to Chicago.
But you guys brought up such a great point, which is, and I learned this by watching Ratatouille, which is that eating food brings back memories. It takes you back to places that you used to go to. It takes you back to a period of your life that you've moved on from. Whenever people come in and they're trying these things, do they sort of have the same reaction of what you're talking about is, well, I was in this place that one time and this kind of reminds me of that?
Yeah, I think our concept is very geared towards that. Obviously, most people eat chicken and have grown up eating chicken and love eating chicken. So it could bring you back to your grandma's roast chicken and I have we have some cool kind of sides here that I think are also a little nostalgic too. And yeah, so I think this concept in particular is very relatable and it's very you can go back in your memory bank and kind of pull something and kind of to relate to this.
And even if your nostalgia for your grandma's chicken isn't there, I've had 20 people so far say this chicken reminds me of the chicken I get in France.
Yeah.
Which it's Pennsylvania chicken, but it's a French chef right here. So
Is that a great compliment though? Whenever you hear something like that, and they say, listen, this takes me to the other side of the world. I mean, you basically get to travel without having to leave Bucktown. Is that I feel like that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, usually when people say that, they don't follow it up with and I hated my grandma's chicken. It's usually positive.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have dishes on the menu that are named after people that are important to you. Is that right?
Yeah, so we got the Papa Louis macaroni gratin, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so our grandfather, Papa Louis, he was a cheesemaker. He made Comté, and Comté is the #1 cheese that we use in this recipe. So it was our way to honor him, but it's also very delicious. So it works both ways.
And then there's Oliver's collard greens, which I made it say Oliver's collard greens because he's been trying to get this on the menu for years. So they are delicious collard greens, but they definitely have some of Oliver's special ingredients and touches in there.
Yeah.
I love it. Guys, I just love to know, obviously, we're biased here in Chicago, but many of us believe that we just have such a great culinary scene here in our city. I'd love to get, you guys obviously have a better perspective than most people. What are your thoughts on just the culinary world in the city of Chicago right now? How is our city doing?
Well, I think the one thing that's different in Chicago, that's special about Chicago, is that we're all kind of in it together. And I think this was kind of cemented during COVID when we, everything had to close and we all had to kind of come together to figure out how to make it work. But everybody is very tight knit. We're all kind of rooting for each other. It's kind of like us versus the elements. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different elements that are tough here in Chicago, but there's a lot of great chefs. Obviously rent isn't super high like it is in a San Francisco or New York. So there's a little bit more freedom to kind of do what you need to do. Or do what you want to do. Maybe you take a little bit more risks. And I think that all contributes to the best food city if not America, the world.
And we hear that from the people from New York and LA that come visit Chicago, that Chicago really puts them to shame, I would say.
It's honestly, that's worth bragging about. Guys, I mean, here's one of the many reasons why I appreciate you joining us live on Chicago Live right now, is that I can tell you are in the middle of a work day. Like, there are probably other things you could be doing other than talking to us on live television. So can you just walk us around a little bit where you are? I know you're in the middle of the work day. You're in the middle of a working kitchen. So we might as well see it. Can we look around?
Yeah, so real tight little kitchen here. I am already sweating. All right, so these are our chickens.
Come on. How many a day would you say you go through?
Chef Oscar, Chef Oscar.
Hey, look at him.
Liz, Director of Ops, Liz. Sorry, and then we have a little patio out front as well. Yeah, well, I'll show you the patio.
Look at everybody. What do you got? Just do you employ models? Is it a modeling agency as well as rotisserie chicken?
Sorry?
No, I said you got good-looking people working there.
You know, it's the French way of surrounding yourself with beautiful people.
Oh, this looks like a great spot. This is kind of like a cool outdoor area you got going on there.
Yeah. It's a nice little wine patio. You know, people drink out here. They eat chicken out here. It's nice.
Oh, that's very cool. All right, guys. I was wondering because I saw all the chickens out there. How many do you guys go through in any given day?
120.
120.
Yeah.
That feels like a lot.
So far, so.
That feels like a lot of chickens.
Yeah, it is a lot of chickens. Yes, it is.
All right, let people know. Listen, I know you're in the middle of a work day. I know you have better things to be doing right now. Can you let people know the name of the spot? Where can they come out and find you? Where they can go online and get some more information? Let people know everything they need to know.
Yeah, so this is Chez Poulet, located at 2234 Northwestern here in Bucktown, Logan Square. Follow us on Instagram at Chez Poulet Chicago. And come visit us Tuesday through Sunday, 4 through 9 on the weekdays and 12 through 9 on weekends.
Beautiful. Listen, guys, the whole reason that we created this show is to be able to just sort of dip in live with people around the city in the middle of a day, just like you. You guys are perfectly exemplifying this sort of interview we want to be able to do. I know you were sweating back there in the kitchen trying to pull this interview off. So for that, we appreciate you, and we'll be out there to see you guys soon.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care, guys. All right, those guys are awesome. All right, guys, much more to come here on Chicago Live. We only got under 20 minutes left of the show, but then when we're done, some of us get to go out there and enjoy this beautiful day, but you don't want to miss the rest of the show. And then at that point, just stick around because Fox 32 News at 4 begins with Terrence Lee and Anita Blanton. And if you thought this show was good, it's only going to get better. So enjoy this beautiful shot for just a moment, and then we're going to roll to break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. You know, one of the beautiful things about this show is that it's kind of happening in real time. You know, there is a degree of this show that is fun, wild, crazy, and it's because behind the scenes, we are spinning 18 different plates and pulling so many different things together in order to pull this show off. And sometimes we're doing it live on the air, and you are watching it happen. Case in point, our last guest, we were trying to bring her on, but we couldn't figure out the logistics. But guess what? The television gods smiled upon us, and boom, there she is. We're talking with Ogechi Harry. I was just saying earlier in the show, Chicago-based Black Art and Lifestyle Collective taking a massive trip with some travelers this fall to an immersive look at African art, design, and culture. First of all, I'm so glad we were able to make this work because I so wanted to talk with you, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jake. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Okay, so this is really exciting. So this fall, towards the middle and end of October, I'm hosting a tour in Lagos, Nigeria, in West Africa. And it's exciting because our very own Norman Teague here out of Chicago is the lead curator for Design Week Lagos. And so what's interesting about this opportunity is because we are basically bringing anyone, curious travelers, collectors, creatives, to come and have an immersive experience where we look at art and design from the perspective of legacy, heritage, craftsmanship. It really is, a real wholesome and holistic approach to collecting. It's also interesting because we're having this very interesting exchange between Chicago and Lagos. There's a creative exchange here, given that Norman is leading it. I'm part of the curatorial team. And then, of course, on the ground with Lagos being one of the most creative cities on the continent, it's just going to be a real treat for all of our guests joining us.
You know, it feels like such an amazing opportunity for people, and I'm jealous of anyone that gets to take part of this. What are you hoping that the travelers who get to take part come to understand maybe about contemporary African art and design that maybe you wouldn't get from a traditional vacation?
I love that. I think the power of storytelling. You know, Golden Hour is really focused on helping people understand the power of storytelling. As an attorney myself, story is my craft, right, Jake, as you know, as a reporter. And so I think this opportunity really digs into the opportunity for collectors and those who are coming to meet artists, meet artisans, talk to fellow collectors, but really train your eye in the field, which I always say, when you're going to experiences like this, it's not only about you, but it's also about your eye. Right? And demystifying what it means to be a collector is also part of the storytelling. You don't have to have a PhD, you don't have to have a yacht to be a collector. And I think when you study the importance of story by actually going out and experiencing it in person in different countries, experiencing different foods, different languages, different cultures, it really just deepens your understanding not only of yourself, but the importance of stories that you surround yourself with.
So I was reading that this year's theme is making a new Africa from material to market. What does that mean to you?
Yes. So to me, that means, Africa is full of materials, right? From gold to cocoa to oil. And I think this year, the owner of Design Week Lagos is really focused on what that process is, what the importance behind something that is materials, right? So something that sort of looks commonplace and it's in nature, right? And how do you actually create something that can reach the global masses through commercial opportunities? So this year it is interesting, right? Because as I mentioned, there's an interesting cultural exchange between Chicago and Lagos. Chicago is a manufacturing hub. Right? We understand how to make things, we know how to ship things, and having Norman lead that discussion and display of art and artistry is interesting because he understands how to make things and how to make sure those things reach the masses and reach markets. And so to have Lagos focus on that topic is very interesting because it pays homage to the natural resources that we have, as well as the natural talent and the actual importance around understanding process, how you can turn something into nothing into something, and the power of even that story in and of itself. So it's an exciting theme, and I love that Norman gets to lead that this year.
It's an incredible theme. And, one of the things I often say about, whenever we have like an art fest around town, right? And God knows we have plenty of them. But is that you get the opportunity to actually have a conversation with the artist and you get to talk with people. And sometimes art can totally change when you talk with the artist and you find out what the inspiration was from or what the process was of bringing that art into life. Can you talk about the travelers who are lucky enough to get to have this experience? What kind of relationship are they going to have with the artist? I mean, are there going to be opportunities to kind of expand your understanding and your knowledge by having those sort of conversations that we get to have here locally when we have the fests?
Absolutely. I love this question. So the reality is, yes, this entire trip is curated around these intimate moments where you get to meet the artisans, the architects, the designers, and the artists. So this is a 10-day trip, but it's up to 10 days. People can choose the amount of time they want to stay, and we'll tailor it to your schedule and to your dates. And throughout the trip, we've organized collectors to come to galleries. We have an artist studio, a private tour of an artist studio. We are going to be going to Design Week Vegas, which is really the anchor of this tour. And during those trips to talk to the exhibitors, the architects and designers who are creating these beautiful pieces, think of furniture, lighting, rugs, materials. Our collectors and our guests will have an opportunity to speak with them, to talk to them about process, to understand that perspective. And as you mentioned, Jake, it's really important to understand the artist's perspective because it will shift your entire understanding of this piece of art, the furniture, the objects that they're creating from hand. So I think you're right that not only is it important to understand the story, but it's also really important to understand the artist's perspective and what their understanding of their process is, and hear that directly from them.
So walk us through really quick before we go the logistics of this. If someone is interested and they want to take part, how do they get a part of it? And then where can they sign up?
So they can go to thegoldenhour.com, and that's without an H intentionally, thegoldenhour.com, and they can go to the Gather Tour. And there they will see the entire itinerary. We'll have information about the Billionaire Chef, John Randall Center, down to Mama Nike, which is a landmark gallery, but then also Design Week Vegas details. So once you get to that website, there is a link there that says to give me a call. You can set up a call to talk to me about your dates. We have a travel operator just waiting to help you and offer concierge travel service to you. So we've got a whole team waiting to receive you. So once you hit that link, we'll be there to support you.
An amazing opportunity for so many people, very lucky people who get to take part in this. An amazing opportunity to talk with you. I'm so glad that we were able to overcome our technical obstacles and make this happen, because this sounds like a truly amazing opportunity for so many people. And like I said, I'm very jealous. So thank you for taking the time, Ogechi, and please come back on the show and tell us how it went.
I would love to do that. And Jake, you're welcome to come. Days off.
I tell you what, you talk to the bosses. I got a kid on the way, so I got to take some time off in a little bit. But if you can get that vacation approved by the bosses, I'm there. I'll go. Let's do it.
All right, I'll make a call.
All right, sounds good. Talk with you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, guys, we're wrapping up Chicago Live. So much fun to be left. But listen, we still got a couple of minutes left. Let's take one last look at our beautiful city before we go to break. We will be right back. Chicago Live rolls on. welcome back to Chicago Live. We have just a couple of minutes left in the show, but we didn't want to leave without talking about Chicago's Greektown celebrating its 36th annual Taste of Greektown Festival this weekend. We are going to bring in Irene Kumi to talk all about it. Irene, we talked during the break. Love your energy. Let's get talking about this. Let people know all the things that are going to be happening out there when people come out.
Absolutely. So as you can see behind me, the name of the game is the Taste of Greektown. So it is all about the food. We have small family-run businesses that are still in Greektown from generations, and that makes it so special that we can share our home-cooked recipes with everyone at this annual fest. So right here at my family's business, we have meats running on the grill, double-cut lamb chops, pork souvlaki, and there are so many great restaurants to come and try out. In addition to our restaurant, there's Athena Greek Restaurant, Ifaki Espiatorio, Nine Muses Bar and Grill, Mr. Greekitos, Mocha Cafe, and Zeus Restaurant.
You know, I see Spectrum behind you. Something tells me that that'd be a pretty good spot to check out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're just opening right at 4, but people are already starting to hit the streets, and you really can't beat the charcoal grills. We get these custom built from Cyprus and brought it over, so you have the meat rotisserie over the charcoal, which makes it tender and just so juicy. So that's really our specialty here.
I love it. And really quick, we've got just under a minute. Let people know what they need to know to come out. Does it cost anything, and where can they get more information?
It is, you can get more information at GreektownChicago.org, but it is a $10 just donation fee, optional to come in. Otherwise, just come on into the fest. And we have a Yudos eating contest today, and we have Greek dancing, Greek music all weekend, so it's going to be a ton of fun.
All right, we appreciate you. We're coming out there. We will be there. Irene, thank you for the time. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too. All right, guys, that's it for us here on Chicago Live. I hope you had a great day. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you have a great weekend. We will see you later.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
All right, this weekend, NFL dreams get made or broken. We'll preview the Bears' last preseason game before the big cut.